So in the aftermath, we explored Edrin's tower, and some of the stuff we found, we uncovered some lore, which I just like from his books and like notes on his work with the Mi-Go and kind of like what he did. He told us like an inkling of it, but then he like
Hmm?
sprouted tendrils and ran
What?
off, so he left us kind of to our own devices in his tower. And we found some notes, and basically him and the Mi-Go like work together. This is in the summary if you just like want to read it, but basically him and the Mi-Go work together within the skull to try to like open a portal because there was extraplanar activity there. And the ultimate purpose in Edrin and the Mi-Go in opening this portal was to see a place that Edrin calls the Far Realm. And he makes previous mentions of the Shadowfell, the Dreamlands, the World Axes, Neth, the Mirror Plane, Temporal Plane, and others that Edrin has detailed in varying capacities because he's presumably traveled there before. And this place, kind of as he said, didn't open any of those places or anywhere he thought it would, and chaos ensued, and now it can't really be reversed, is what he told you before he left.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that we find, in addition to the two books that y'all already discovered, Codex Copius and the Varus Laws, is a wand of Identify, which y'all saw that's what he was using whenever he was deciphering the map that we gave him. And then a Staff of the Adder was like kind of like his chosen staff that was like in the corner next to some junk. That's the staff that doesn't turn into a snake, but it's like a normal attacking staff that it, like the end of its head is like can animate by itself and like poison stuff. And then again, something caught his eye whenever we were like investigating the room. He found a wand of web, which is just like a basic, pretty not rare but uncommon wand that can cast the web spell using charges. And it's something that he recognizes in some way as being from Tywell, which is the dark elf Underdark city that he is from. And I mean, it's not surprising, like dark elves worship Lolth, which is like a spider queen. So wand of web isn't something that would be uncommon to that area, but that is something he notes, is that he's like familiar with it, some symbols on it. So basically we stay in the tower for a bit after Edrin's departure. Gin and Laura are kind of investigating, everyone else is looting, and we're kind of injured, so we take the time to like kind of heal up. We do like at least a short rest and kind of catch our breaths after that pretty intense fight where I think almost all of us died except for Bud. And then we would just like head back out of the tower, making our way through the mist with kind of like increased strength. And as we're walking out, we kind of see on the mist there's more city guard presence along with wizards looking to help. And kind of we make it out without any incident. We kind of see the same bodies and stuff. We go through the same path that we took in. And we see like kind of these wizards and the guards of Eslock have kind of cordoned off the east side. The magic users are trying to protect the outskirts, erecting magical barriers, and they're kind of trying to keep everybody out. It appears they've evacuated this part of the city, so there's no more like people in immediate danger if things continue to pour out of the portal. But you do notice that the mist continues to spread out from the east side and into kind of like the rest of the city. As I mean, we probably won't stay, but over the next few days, the mist continues to spread throughout the entire city. And there aren't necessarily monsters everywhere within it, like they were concentrated around the skull and kind of where we went within Edrin's Keep, but really only time will tell. The mist now envelops all of Eslock. And something Laura would kind of, as we're out of the mist and we're kind of safe, maybe we head to a tavern, maybe we're heading back to Celinda HQ, which Laura would be headed to, and Gin would be going with her. You kind of see Laura pull Gin aside, and she's kind of going to say this like in secret, like kind of aside, but she notices that, or maybe Gin would say that it's okay to say in front of everyone. So you hear Laura saying this to Gin. Gin, there's something you need to know. The truth about why Celinda was so concerned with Edrin's doings. It came directly from the top. And she kind of pauses and she says, from Slade. He redirected our attention full force towards Edrin. He has spoken recently of coming changes, but not just in Eslock. Worldwide shifts in the nature of magic, and with it extra-dimensional activity of the like Celinda has never seen. He felt it especially prudent to tell me this when I last met him in Eldor. He wants all of the freelancer companies throughout the realm best positioned to take advantage of whatever these changes bring. He saw Edrin as a potential source of these coming changes, a locus point, and there's a reason. Gin. And she pauses again, kind of like, as she says this, she says, Slade revealed to me that Edrin is the Voyager of the Saga Rex. He had identified him and confirmed it just recently. That was the key bit of knowledge which launched the investigation. Anyways, that was the reason for the guild's focus upon Edrin. I didn't mention this before because It wasn't necessarily time, but it looks like Slade was right. Wherever Edrin is gone now, he has left Celinda with quite the mess to clean up, and I'm not even sure I know if we will. But I'm going to have to report back to Celinda leadership and Slade with what happened here. Do you want me to mention you, or the map, or everything else, or should I leave it out? And Gin would pause, kind of taking in what she said. And you would see his like eyes light up at the mention of like the Voyager and the Saga Rex, which you haven't heard him talk about, but he does take note of that, and he would say to Laura, "Go ahead and tell Slade about my presence and the nature of this map. Even I trust if anyone has a handle on what is going on here and how best to handle it, it will be him. But thanks for asking, Laura." And kind of like Laura and Gin and I guess the group, after you hear this, they just kind of continue going back. I guess at this point heading to the Celinda HQ. And Gin would explain kind of like on the way that Slade is the leader of the Freelancer, like the whole organization, of which Celinda is kind of like a subgroup. So he's technically the leader of Celinda as well, but indirectly. And he would kind of explain to you, maybe he's mentioned it before, but he hasn't gone in depth. The Saga Rex is a mythical group of like thought leaders or like arcane experts, of which there's the philosopher, the alchemist, the bard, the cartographer, the writer, the journeyman, the wayfarer, and the voyager. And they're kind of like esoteric. Their identities aren't known. They're just known as these like pseudonyms. And Gin believes these individuals are the best sources of information in the changes and chaos soon to come to the world, from what he has envisioned and kind of told you all about Sire's various prophecies. Saga Rex are an interrelated group of philosophers and sages throughout the realm, which are actively involved in world events, providing counsel to leaders, warlords, and demons alike. Their true identities are unknown. They are difficult to find and do not make their presence known unless they wish it to be. They do not necessarily get along either, and all their interactions are generally based upon individual self-interest. So kind of you would learn all that from what Laura said and from Gin. And I can add a thing on that later. But another thing of note is whenever Gin and Laura go back to Celinda HQ, they would kind of invite you in. I mean, it's kind of a secretive organization, but at this point, like, Gin trusts y'all enough to let you come in as well. And he kind of brings Laura in, and that's where he would reunite with his old squad of like detectives. This is kind of like the group that he ran it with, and he would introduce you to each of them. There's Remy, the lively human ranger and kind of point man of the group. Rondham, the calculated and bespectacled tiefling wizard and researcher. He kind of has a cold demeanor. Remy would be much more friendly. And then there's a third person in addition to Laura, who you all already met obviously. There's Halea, the stern dwarven cleric carrying a variety of weaponry that obviously y'all's characters wouldn't recognize, but it does appear galaxy brain-wise as the same Halea that y'all's other group encountered. So yeah, basically you would just reunite with them and like kind of, I'm guessing we would want to leave or at least depart from Laura and the group, and Laura and the others would bid Gin and all of us adieu, with Gin vowing to return back to Eslock eventually to provide any help with what's happened and just to reunite with his old crew under better terms. And kind of that would be the end of like the epilogue that I had. And after this, like kind of whatever, if anybody else wanted to do anything on the way out of Eslock, we could, but then we would basically leave with the deciphered map in hand, the whereabouts of Edrin unknown, and the city of Eslock with a new blanket of otherworldly mist haunting its cobbled streets for an indefinite period of time. So that's the epilogue of the end of episode 2. And now there would be, I mean, again, this could be basically all up to Will, but there'd be a time jump, and then we're going to jump into whatever events lead up to whatever we're doing with Will's stuff. So that's all I got.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to, we can do whatever you guys want. It can be as short or as long as you want, depending on like what you guys wanted to spend your time doing.
Yeah, I think at most it'd be like a month or a couple weeks. I mean, just travel time alone, depending on how we get there, would mean like, you know, a longer period of time based on, we're pretty sure yours is starting and where we are right now. But I mean, you can always travel magically, so that doesn't matter either. Yeah, I mean, Gin would just be interested in just continuing to learn about the map and what it is. He wouldn't necessarily want to go to any of the places yet because he doesn't know like the dangers of them. But I mean, if the group agreed and wanted to go like treasure hunting into one of these like deity dungeons, as they would be like colloquially called, he would be on board with that. Depending on what we do, I would roll some random shit to see what we would gather. Like it couldn't be anything high stakes. Like right now, if John was like, if Aldridge was like, all right, as soon as we leave S-Lock, I want to go to the Hellmouth, I would say we can do that in the canon and the timeline, but we wouldn't play that right. We wouldn't fast travel past that because I want that to be a thing that we actually play. So like we could do Wills and then we could come back and do like a prequel where we did the Hellmouth before we went to Wills, but we couldn't like. I wouldn't want to just skip it.
Yeah, and also if it makes sense, I mean, mine would be, it could make sense just to go there immediately after S-Lock and then have the break after mine, because mine, at least on the surface, would be something of a reprieve from like the dangers of like that we've been facing in these dungeons and S-Lock and stuff like that. It'd be more of it'd be something that we were looking forward to enjoying.
Right. Yeah. I don't think. I mean, speaking for Gan, he wouldn't want to just jump back into like, all right, let's go fuck this Hellmouth up. Like, he would definitely keep that in mind, and he would want to like go and investigate that just by sheer, maybe recklessly, just by sheer dint of that he's a detective and he wants to know what the hell is going on. But he wouldn't want to do it immediately. This would be something we could come back to, and he already wants to come back to S-Lock to check up on what's happening.
Yeah, so we can just go. We can say we were traveling and just go straight to my thing. I'll introduce how we go about learning about it. But
Alex is ghosting you.
Left Edrin's keep. We're leaving S-Lock now, but some of the things we found in his keep, you can look in the session summary. There's a wand of Identify, a wand of Web, which I think Gin is going to use, unless you really wanted it, and then a Staff of the Adder, which isn't the same as the Staff of the Python that your other guy has. It's I mean, you can just read it. You can look in the session summary to learn everything that we learned. But
okay.
Basically, we're leaving S-Lock, and we have the map now. The mist kind of spread over the entire city as we're like leaving within a couple of days or a day. And as Edrin said, we couldn't really close the gash that he opened. And Edrin's gone. He just like sprouted tendrils and ran into one of his portals to God knows where. And yeah, so we're leaving S-Lock, and then Will is now DM, and I am a lowly peasant player, which I'm very excited to be.
Okay. John, are you in Roll20?
Get out of here. John's playing Skyrim.
Yeah, I'm out.
John, did you kill that dragon at least and hit quick save?
Yeah, I just got it.
That's good.
The giants help me.
Everybody's level 4, right?
Down.
Also, everybody's supposed to be level 4.
Yep. I leveled up.
Hold up. All right. Let's see. Is John in here?
Loading right now.
Okay. So after leaving S-Lock, I think, as you guys remember, Darcy was kind of getting pretty worn out by all the treacherous shit we've been dealing with. And at one point, she was kind of like brainstorming. She's been kind of brainstorming with you guys about like stuff that'd be fun to do, and maybe a little more relaxing and less perilous. And one day, like while you're traveling through a random town, she runs up to you guys with a flyer. And Darcy says, "Oh my God, I found the thing that we should do. It's in Tribal Nestra and it's not super far." And she hands you the flyer, and it has like a couple like theater masks at the top of it, and it says the Tribal Nestran Masquerade in big sort of curvy letters at the top, and it kind of just details this big giant art festival that goes on in the city of Tribal Nestra, which, if you'll remember from the world map lore, is sort of the cultural center of the continent and a place where they're basically every form of art technique you can think of is practiced. And the city is one of the most impressive sort of large cities on the continent, with all this like crazy varying architecture. There's anything from like futuristic towers to like huge like Renaissance mansions. And so she's like really excited about this, and sort of at her behest, the group, or you can tell me you don't want to do this and I can just scrap my entire arc.
Well, Gin would say, like, kind of as you handed him this flyer, and like he would definitely be like, even though he's kind of like a darker, like broody dude, he would definitely be interested in like doing fun stuff that Darcy would want to do, and like definitely taking a load off after, as you said, the perilous shit we've been through. But as you handed him this flyer with like the masquerade, the masks on it, you would see him look down at it and kind of do a similar face you've seen him do before, where he kind of like looks at it and then he like looks up and does a 1,000-yard stare, where he's like, it's almost like he's doing a flashback in his mind, and then he would look at you and he would say, "Nothing good ever happens at masquerades," and then just kind of like lets that hang in the air. But then he's like, and he looks back down at it, "This looks dope." And yeah, he would, if we started to travel, he would explain like one of the cases he did that was at a masquerade where terrible shit happened.
Darcy would be like, "No, you're being ridiculous." And like through kind of like asking, she's like, "Come on, it's gonna be really fun. We can wear masks. We can go get drunk and eat a bunch of food while looking at art. It's gonna be awesome." And sort of like when you guys ask around, and maybe you've heard this before, I guess everybody can roll me a history check just to see what you know about this festival. Darcy's character sheet.
I just want to say as a start, it feels weird with Dylan not being a DM. Not like in a good or bad way. It's just like weird because he's been our DM for so long.
Yeah, no, I feel I'm super amped right now. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I hope you guys like what I've got. I spent a bunch of time on it.
Nice.
Okay, so Darcy needs roll history.
All right, being a player makes you a better DM and vice versa, in my experience.
I agree with that. All right, so I guess Darcy, Bud, and Aldrich are all sort of aware that this is a pretty famous festival. It's basically a time like it's a week-long extravagant festival that goes on in the cultural capital of the continent. It's got all these extravagant parades, innumerable masquerade parties with all sorts of debauchery. The whole week, the city's denizens wear these elaborate masks and attend these opulent art shows hosted by the wealthy elite of the city. The masquerade's a chance for the city's artists, of which there are like millions, maybe not millions, that's too many, but there's a lot of them. And this is a chance to sort of showcase their sort of the best work that they've been working on. And so it's a really interesting time to be in the city because there's just art everywhere, like more so than normal. And it's not really limited to, say, traditional paintings per se. There's all sorts of types of different cuisine, like food art. There's like bars that do all sorts of interesting cocktails. There are performance artists that use magic to create like spectacular shows, things like that. So you kind of hear all this on the road especially as you near the city, where there's sort of buzz in the surrounding areas that the masquerade's starting, and so people are starting to basically take a week off and go vacation in the city of Tribal Nestra. And so you can do whatever you want sort of on the road there, but I don't know, how are Aldrich and Bud feeling about that idea?
Aldrich feels like it's a good experience. I mean, like I said, whenever you kind of want to venture out in the world, he just wants to experience a bunch of new things, and that sounds like a unique experience he hasn't done before. So
yep, same.
Cool.
Was into it.
All right.
As far as what we're doing on the way there, I would be trying to read the map and go more into what I guess after we deciphered it, Edrin deciphered it, I would want to be studying the map. But I would ask Darcy, like whether like it's immediately after she kind of presents this festival and explains what it is, or y'all all do because y'all all know the festival except Gin didn't. He'd kind of be out of the loop, and he would wonder. And also experience with Gin, he would be interested in art in the sense of like books. So he'd be interested in authors and like paintings, but mostly like books because he considers himself like a aspirational writer or artist himself in that manner. And he would ask Darcy if his favorite author of like kind of flash detective crime fiction will be there, named Detarok.
So does Detarok, is he a native to the city, or would he be visiting from elsewhere? Is he from Eslock?
He wouldn't be from Eslock, no. I mean, he wouldn't be from Trevelnestra. He would be visiting from elsewhere. As far as like where he lives, Gin wouldn't even know. That's like some of his favorite novels are written by him. And then, so he would wonder if Detarok's there, his favorite like fiction, and then his favorite historian, Kigranus. See if he's there. That's what he would want to know. If that's who he'd be looking for when he went to this festival, basically. In addition to just experiencing everything in the art, but those are the authors that he knows. Just to get that on the books.
Yeah, I think Darcy would say, I'm not familiar with either of those people. Contemporary literature is a little lost on me since I've been dealing with stuff that's sort of 1,000 years old for a while. So I know a lot about nature and ancient history, but maybe not as much about this. But maybe they're there. There's supposedly a really great library there that we could go check out. Maybe someone there will know if your guys are there.
He does like a slow fist pump.
All right. Well, so we can go ahead and move over to Trevelnestra. If you guys could do me a favor and reset the health for all your tokens in the top left. Just reset everybody's health back to, because I know everybody's health probably went up as a result of leveling up.
Yep.
And if your AC changed or your speed changed or whatever, go ahead and update that.
Freaking armor.
You guys see this big picture of Trevelnestra now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
airships. It's canon, folks.
Yep. So as you walk in, this is kind of the scene you're greeted with. The sort of lower levels are these basically bustling, this like essentially free bustling open marketplace where people are hawking food, their wares. There are sort of street artists that are performing. People are selling paintings and stuff like that. Up above, there's sort of more like opulent buildings, I would say. And as I said earlier, the architecture is very diverse. It's not a particular style. The city is it's very eclectic. And there are airships flying around. That's canon. Thank Dylan for that. And so you arrive in the city, and Darcy kind of trots off for a second while you guys are walking around, sort of looking. You can do whatever you want in that time. But like 20 minutes later, she comes back, and she is wearing a red panda mask. And she has 3 masks in her hands. And knowing your favorite animals, because she asked that sort of thing, she hands Gen a wolf mask, Aldrich a Quetzalcoatlsaurus mask, and Bud a deadleaf mantis. Is that what that was?
Yep.
Mask.
That's terrifying.
So he's got big bug eyes, and he looks pretty scary.
Gin would look at his mask, the wolf mask, and the panda mask, and then he'd look at the other 2 masks. Like he wasn't in on those conversations where you learned their favorite animals. He's like, where did you find those? What is that? At the Quetzalcoatl specific.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I was expecting these to be really hard to find, but there was a mask purveyor, and he did this awesome shit where I was like, you know what Quetzalcoatlsaurus is? And he pulled out a book of dinosaurs, and he looked at a sort of unformed mask, and he kind of waved his hand, and it became this. And so it was a lot easier than I was expecting, which is why it didn't take me very long.
Nice.
I'd look down at Aldrich and be like, it looks dope. It's like I've always
Aldrich is like super stoked right now.
I want to know what this looks like.
I've always wanted to see a dinosaur. Have you seen one?
I've not seen one, but some of the travelers have told me stories about these large-looking birds with massive beaks and the size of buildings almost. And
it's supposed to be in Zelvaka. That's what I've read, but I've never ventured there myself. It's not a place for non-ancient dinosaurs and shit.
This is the thing he's talking about.
yeah, it's fucking ridiculous how big they are.
Oh my god. What the fuck? Is it eating a brontosaurus? Is
Yeah.
that like a baby or is that a full-grown brontosaurus?
I think that's probably a baby.
There's no way. That's Godzilla. That's Godzilla sized.
Anyway, that's what all those masks look like. He has this huge. Like,
Okay, I'm
green
fully
hawk
immersed.
with
That's a
long-
ridiculous
with
mask.
a long beak and these like yellow spots that look like eyes, but really there's two eye holes down where you can see Aldrich's beady, dead, lifeless eyes peering out.
Before Gin put this on, though, knowing that you just described that these were magically made potentially or have magic properties, Gin would kind of, before fully committing and putting it on, he would say, these aren't going to make us mindless zombies, right? Like the case I explained? They're not going to do that. They're not that.
I think he just transmuted some paper, but I'm not a mindless zombie yet, so I hope that doesn't happen.
Fair
He
enough.
looked like a pretty upstanding dude. He was smiling and handing out masks, but maybe that's what the dude that turned everybody into zombies looked like. So I don't know.
Fair enough. And then Gin would put it on.
All right. So you guys, like I said, you arrived, and it's sort of the morning of the first day of the masquerade, and the city is totally abuzz with festivities. There's a ton of pedestrian artists that are showcasing their wares in the streets, vendors selling all this food, replica art, supplies, masks. There's a gazillion mask vendors because everybody wants one. And as you're kind of strolling through, you sort of enter, and where you entered from was sort of what looks like maybe the more sort of opulent, well-off district. The architecture is much more varied. There's immense manors, and at one point you pass by, sort of in the heart of the city. There's a huge building that's sitting on a hill. And as you pass by it, what it looks like is, I don't know if you guys have ever seen or been to the Louvre, but it looks like this. So this is just the Louvre, but except for where the pyramid is, there's a gigantic statue of a huge dragon form, and everybody can roll a religion check on what that is.
Gin knows that shit.
Yeah, you want to tell me what it is?
So
it looks like
it's
this.
Tiamat?
No, it is metallic, shining, bearded, horned dragon, and it's gigantic.
Oh, it's Bahamut.
It's Bahamut, the platinum dragon. Which, let me see if Darcy knows, but
Wow. I don't want to spoil anything, but Bahamut is integral to my part 3. Just let's slip that in there for a second. Where are we mind melded?
No.
What the fuck?
Yeah, Bahamut's there. What? Okay, whatever. Well, anyway.
Nope. Okay, Gin's like a fanboy of Bahamut. He's not like a follower or anything, but what Bahamut represents, Gin is all about, obviously, because Bahamut's like lawful good.
Yeah. So again, you would know this, but basically, Bahamut is one of the sort of more just gods in the pantheon of this world.
Yep.
He's the patron of all metallic dragons, which are generally thought to be the sort of more kind, fight for good dragons,
The goodly
as opposed to
dragons.
chromatic dragons.
Yep.
And they're also, but he's not exclusively worshipped by dragons. There's a whole order of paladins that are dedicated to, and clerics that are dedicated to the service of the sort of good, just warrior god Bahamut. Pull up Darcy's.
I can't believe that we're mind melded. I'm losing my shit right now.
And so in front of this gigantic manor is this gigantic statue of Bahamut gleaming. It looks like it might be real platinum, which would be insanely expensive because, platinum is sort of the most valuable currency in the world. It's basically, I think it's worth 10 gold to 1 platinum. And so, and then behind that, sort of at the center of what the Louvre would be, is a gigantic spire. Like if you look around, it's clearly the tallest building in Travel Nestra, with the exception of one other that sort of rivals it in height. And you're not sure what building that is. It's a little off in the distance, but it's got this. It's a huge towering spire. Obviously, there wasn't anything in the world in art that depicted this scene, so I dealt with the Louvre. But you're walking by that, and there's a big crowd of people kind of peering in, and it's decorated, and there's a big banner that says Argyros's art show tonight. And you would know that probably one of the many art shows that the wealthy elite of Travel Nestra are putting on, and maybe it's tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can ask any passerbys about or whatever you want to do with that, or you can go ahead and move on to sort of the main central square of where the market or where the festival is going on right now.
I would want to so Travel Nestra, Gin would know because of art, because of its like liberal ideology. he would definitely feel comfortable in this city as a dark elf, whereas a lot of cities that might not be true. I mean, I would say the majority of cities he'd probably feel comfortable in because it's like modernized society, but this is definitely one that he would like feel fine with. But even so, I would want to like scan the area of like passerbys and kind of identify basically anyone that's not a high elf. I would want to ask about this art show and this Argyros person. I would choose carefully. I wouldn't just pick any passerby. So I don't know what I have to roll for that, but I'd want to just
maybe roll a perception check. It's gonna be a pretty low check because there's a ton of people around right now.
Yep. I would want to. Yeah, I would be looking for like a human or another drow, but another drow, that might not be there, obviously.
Yeah, so it takes you a little time. You definitely don't find another drow. You kind of are a little nervous talking to people. It's a big city. Everybody seems to sort of know where they're going. But eventually, you stop a human male, and he's got black hair, and you can ask him whatever you want.
Okay, Gin would kind of be like, "Excuse me, sir," and I would point to, I guess, the banner where I saw the Argyros name, and I would say, "Who is this Argyros fellow? Is this art show one of the more prominent ones, or do you know anything about it?"
Guy, he's certainly not like a noble looking by any means. He's more probably middle class. He doesn't look poor, but he would say, "Oh, Argyros, you don't know who Argyros is. You must not be from here."
No.
But Argyros is one of the most beloved art collectors in the city. He's has a reputation for his benevolence and has really been responsible for discovering a lot of the artists that are coming out of the lower class sects. He spends a lot of his time dedicated to the local universities and providing scholarships for young students that perhaps weren't discovered or didn't have the means to attend. He's generally very well thought of and has one of the greatest art collections in Trivalnestra. And not only that, it's one of the few art shows that is open completely to the public. If you have a chance to attend tonight, I would highly recommend it.
Gin would be smiling as you heard that and be like, this sounds like a
Are we still like
pleasant
within
fellow.
earshot of this?
Yeah, you guys can all.
Okay.
Sounds like a very pleasant fellow. I thank you for filling me in on him. I hope to meet this person, honestly. Sounds like he's doing a lot of solid work here.
I would like to meet him as well. He's relatively famous in the city here. It's a little less known about sort of his wealth. He's a relatively old wood elf, so I'm not really sure how he attained his wealth, but he's certainly very generous with it. And I don't know, Aldridge, do you want to say something?
No, I was trying to pay attention if we were in the area or not, but I'm good.
Yeah, if you were with Gen, unless you had wandered off, you could definitely hear all of that.
Yeah.
I would extend my hand and be like, thanks for speaking with me for a moment. And
he said, sure, no problem. Enjoy the festival. And he had pulled his mask up and he pulls it back down. It's just it's like a teddy bear looking mask, and he sort of walks off.
I guess, yeah, I forgot I had my mask on. I would pull up my mask before I asked him the question. I wouldn't ask him. I would want to present myself as a dark elf, and I wouldn't want to hide that as I tried to get this and like talk to this guy.
Yeah, and I think that, maybe dissimilar to what you experience in other areas, he is not fazed by you being a dark elf at all.
Okay, because that's one of the things I would want to take a measure of.
And you can roll insight on his reaction to you, but initially he's totally unfazed by you being a dark elf. Yeah, okay. He seemed genuine in his knowledge that he provided, and he had no reaction to you being a dark elf.
Okay, well, Gin is he put his mask back on, walked back to the group, I guess. He's already smitten with Argyros. Given what that man just said, he's like, this is someone that he would want to support and he would want to meet, as he said.
Yeah, he sounds like a cool guy, Darcy would say. I'd be interested in going to his art show. Maybe we can, but we got a whole city to explore. It sounds like maybe if you were like looking at passerbys, or were to ask a passerby, the sort of core of the festival during the day is in the more, like, I guess, common folk district and market district, which is a little ways away from you. So you can go there if you wanted, or you can continue exploring the city.
Mm. Yeah, I would want to go to, Gin would speak for himself and say, we should go wherever the party, he would kind of stop himself, be like, am I just saying this? And he's like, we should go wherever the party is happening. And he would like smile at everyone.
Where's the booze?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of taverns there's plenty of booze in the city, but a lot of the sort of more public taverns and day drinking is going on in the market district and the sort of residential district.
Gin would ask Bud, "What's your poison, old chap? Wine? Booze? Rum? What does Root drink?"
Anything that gets me drunk.
I don't know if Gin knew this about Bud.
Darcy didn't either. Darcy's like not super familiar with alcohol yet. She's like, oh, I guess I've drank a few times, but I don't know that I have a poison.
Bud
Dulls the
She
mind.
says like
has
pensively.
spent 300 years drinking like forest hooch. And he's drinking like a hole in the ground. So like literally he can drink anything in copious amounts.
Sweet. Yeah, well, you guys can definitely head to a tavern if that's the first thing you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the market center. I would want to go to a tavern near like the market center where the common center, like as you mentioned, was. But yeah, we can go to a tavern.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and advance you guys to another area. Copy everybody over. So, do you guys see this kind of gigantic map?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So I will ping where we are there. And so this is sort of the big market square. And I will be up front with you. There are several points of interest here. You can kind of explore the whole area. The green triangles are where, just so you know, we're over here. I'm pinging right now. The green triangles are points of interest that you can kind of investigate. And the tavern, if that's where you wanted to go first, is right here. It's actually pretty close to where you guys entered.
As we walked over here again, if he saw like one of the airships flying overhead, maybe one of the bigger ones, he would kind of like nudge Aldrich. Maybe like, I wanted to be the captain of an airship once I learned about them as a kid. We didn't have those in the Underdark, and seeing them now, I only read about them. I'd never been to Travel Nestra. I've always wanted to venture here, but
Yeah, I think Aldrich wearing
incredible.
his mask still is like in awe as well. 'Cause he like wasn't aware that people would be able to fly. He thought it was like just like one of those like made up stories.
yeah,
But
Gin
it's like
would get
astonished
excited
that was
if he
able to
said,
actually happen.
if you said you didn't know that they existed or how they fly, he would get excited and he would explain that he's read about them. Basically, they fly via the combination of magic and technology is what he would explain. Maybe in a lot of words that I won't waste now, but that's how they exist in the world. And he's only read about them, but yeah, in the same manner as you, he's like in awe as he sees them fly over the streets.
Yeah, Darcy
Okay.
is like super interested in them as well. She's like, guys, at some point we need to ride an airship.
Yes. Gin would want to investigate kind of like this first building we come up upon
Yeah.
before we go into the tavern.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good lore because that is the Great Library of Travel Nestra. So that would be it's not surprising Jen would be attracted to that, and Darcy would be totally fine going in there. She's like, I'd probably rather read books before I was sloshed as opposed to after. I don't think I'd get as much out of it after.
Gin would be like, the Great Library. And he's like all excited. He's like the guy from the Twilight Zone episode that like is finally able to read books. He's like, ah.
He breaks his glasses and he can't read. Okay. Yeah, we can go in the library now. So the Great Library of Travel Nestra. Everybody can roll I guess history check about what you know about this library. Oh man, Gen's just like fucking smitten. He's just
Well, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
Sorry.
Gin's never been here. He doesn't know anything about it. Like he knows that it's a good library and like it's on his wish list, but he's mostly excited to be here.
Yep. Okay. So, oh shit, my character sheet's not updated in fucking Roll20. All my intelligence stuff is way higher because my intelligence is now 20.
Yeah, I guess a little bit of cross DM lore here. As we kind of enter Chelvanestra and like you're carrying this Varys Laws book, and the book has spoken to you already. You know it like you're now attuned to it because it's been a while. We had to travel a while, so Aldrich and Darcy, you're both attuned to those books. And I guess Darcy, the Varys Laws would speak to you as you enter like Chelvanestra, and as you like go on this, you want to go to these art festivals. The book would say to you, it's like, art festivals, Chelvanestra. Don't we have better things to do? You would hear that within your pack, and then. The Aldrich, the Codex isn't like sentient. Whenever you like attune to it, you didn't notice anything like it like speaking to you or like emotionally impacting you in any way. It's just a book that has a shitload of knowledge in it. That's what the Varys Laws, whatever entity or force is within it, you don't know, but that's what it would say to you, Darcy.
Yeah, Darcy is pretty. I think she like speaks out loud to it. She's like, and she's, as per her nature, like pretty cheerful about it. She's like, hey, you never know what you're going to learn in a new place. There might be something you like here, Very. Calls him Very. Calls the book Very, and the book doesn't like it.
Yeah, no, the book doesn't like that at all. It's like, whatever. The sooner we're out of here, the better.
Yeah, so nobody knows really much of anything about this library, but Aldrich and Darcy are kind of sort of know it is a great art history library, but also that it potentially has some good knowledge of magic, as well as houses like an immense amount of fiction, being writing one of the art forms. So you guys can go ahead and go in and ask. And if you were to go in, I don't have a map for the library, but basically there's a sort of comical looking person sitting in a red robe that has a mask on that looks like an open book. And she greets you pleasantly. She's like, hello, welcome to the library. Not many people come in this time of day. Everybody's either out raging or selling their art. So you guys might have the run of the place here.
Gin would like rush up to her, maybe interrupting her, and like put both of his hands on the table with his wolf mask still on. And he would say, the Far Realm. Yeah, do you have books? And he's like, he would just say that much.
Well, yes, we have a rather extensive collection. Although the Far Realm is, I would say, not something that we particularly specialize in. There are, however, a large group of books depicting images that supposedly have been perceived in the Far Realm. I know there's a famous, sort of the most famous scholar / artist in the Far Realm is a man by the name of Quinan. And he spent a lot of time with sorcerers and warlocks that had communed with people from the Far Realm and essentially illustrated the images that they had seen. So you could certainly go to that section.
Please direct me there.
Yeah, so she kind of directs you. It's like the library's it's fucking enormous, and so she kind of like she sort of waves her hand and a daylight spell comes up, and there's a little sun floating. She's like, here, go up here, and she sends it out, and the little glowing ball kind of goes up to the third floor in sort of a more remote corner of the library, and it's sort of flashing in front of one particular shelf of books.
Okay, yeah, y'all would see Gin kind of like bounding away. He's like sprinting and like he's in a better mood than you'd see him normally, and he would definitely go over there and start perusing.
Okay, and while Gen is sort of running up there, the librarian would say, well, he was very eager and very specific. What can I help the three of you with? If you aren't aware, our library specializes in art history, works of fiction, and for the magically inclined, like I think some of you may be, just on taking a look at you, we specialize in books on spells in illusion and evocation magic. Those are the two most sort of popular schools of magic for performance art. So we're a bit of a hub for that type of knowledge. So feel free to peruse at your leisure.
Do you have any abjuration spell books or anything like that? I forgot.
Where did I go to college again?
Aldrich is like blinded by his mask right now. He can't he's too excited. He doesn't even know how to speak.
Yeah, she says yes. We're certainly less well versed in that, so you may have a little more trouble finding what you seek, and it may not be as helpful, especially if you're a specialist in abjuration. But she says, here you go, and she sort of creates another ball of light, and this one's bluish color this time, and she sends it to a back corner on the first floor.
Peace out, boys. And skitters away, following that light.
Okay, and I think Darcy would say, she's like, my father was an illusionist. He taught me some stuff. I'd love to learn a little bit more about what kind of illusion magic you have here. She's like, excellent. I'm a bit of an illusionist myself. And she conjures like a floating ship using what clearly is the spell minor illusion, but she's doing it in an improved way and is able to sort of manipulate it over to a huge section of the library that has in sort of gold letters above it on the first floor, School of Illusion.
Is
and
Bud in the tavern?
Found over there.
Bud's looking at the latest Guinness Book of World Records book.
Fantasy Guinness Book of World Records.
All right.
Bud's in the illusion section. He's looking for some spells.
Okay. So again, we'll resolve yours first. So as you're flipping through, what exactly is Gen trying to achieve with these?
As always, he's looking for sire lore and just anything related to the other Celinda gods that he's only heard of and doesn't know about, any great old ones. Anything new, and it would take probably a lot for him to learn something new because he's done so much research on his own. But I mean, at this point, he's heard of the legend of the Trail of Nestor Library, so he probably wouldn't know that unless y'all told him that like it's like as you said, it focuses on like art history and like fiction. So I mean, he would just be looking along. I mean, even if it was fiction or like depicting these things that he's interested in, he would be all in on that as well.
Yeah. So go ahead and roll me an investigation check.
Yep.
Okay, so with that, you find a book. It takes you a little while as you're perusing through it, but you find sort of an old-looking tome with what looks like just a gooey tentacle on the back, on the spine. And as you open it, it's you see the title is Tales of the Marvelous and Frightful, and it says a book of illustrations by Quinen, which is the person that the librarian described. And as you're flipping through it, you see sort of depictions of some of these sort of old ones that Gen is familiar with, and I think it maybe has communicated with at some point as he was selecting his patron before he landed on Sire.
Yep.
And so you're pretty familiar with this, and you kind of learn a lot. And sort of when you're flipping through it, you sort of have, I guess, I can't find a better word for it, but sort of a kind of tingling, like a spider sense in the back of your mind as you sort of flip through some of these, especially the ones you've talked to. There's kind of just an ominous feeling as you're flipping through it.
This would be whenever Gin in a case is in a battle of wits or discovers something. This is when the screen would go black behind him and his eyes would turn like blue.
All right, so that's happening. And as you flip to, there's actually a page that's a little more, for some reason looks more old and torn, and there's no good reason for that because this book looks like it's in really good condition. But for some reason this page looks like it's faded and withered, more so than the others. And to much your surprise, you see an image of Sire. And as soon as you see that, all of the vibrations and spidey senses cease immediately, and there's just one voice that comes in your mind, and all it says is sentience. And then the book snaps shut in your hand.
Whew. I would probably like drop the book. I don't know, like that doesn't happen often. So again, would definitely be shocked at that.
Yeah, but there's nothing else.
Okay. Yeah, he would immediately take out his like notebook and start taking notes on that experience. He's like, Spidey sense.
And while that's going on, Aldridge, why don't you roll me Arcana?
Sure. 18.
Oh yeah. That's gonna do it. So which abjuration spells do you not know right now? There's a short one. So
I don't think I know a lot of them. I'm trying to see where it says on the new. I don't know if it tells you. Yeah, just roll some shit and I'll tell you if I don't have it. It's probably easier.
Do you know? Let's see. Okay. Do you know the spell Arcane Lock?
I actually do. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Fuck is that? You been holding on to us, Aldridge? You give an Arcane Lock-in?
Do you know the spell Shield?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know the spell Alarm?
Yes.
It's Aldrich's greatest hits.
Do you know Snare?
No.
Okay.
Bud knows that.
Yeah.
No.
Do you know Protect? I know you know Major Armor. Do you know Absorb Elements?
No.
Okay, so you can learn with a roll of 18. You can learn 2 of Absorb Elements, Snare, and you know Alarm. Okay, do you know Shield? Do you know Protection from Evil and Good?
No.
That spell's good as hell.
Okay, so you can learn 2 of those 3. So Protection from Evil and Good, Absorb Elements, or
Gin would shout that. That's not metagame. He would be like, Protection from good and evil is good as hell!
Or Alarm.
I'm gonna look at them now.
Okay.
I'll resolve.
And then again, Darcy and Bud are sitting over there having an illusion powwow. Darcy's like sitting in a chair where her feet don't touch the ground. She's kind of kicking her legs back and forth, looking at an illusion book. And Bud, there's a lot of these. Holy shit. Okay. Bud, do you know Visibility?
No.
Jeez,
Right.
That's a good one.
That's a good roll for you. Let's see. Do you know Disguise Self?
No.
Okay.
I think you had the opportunity to learn that in S-Lock and you passed on it, or did you not pick that? I thought that one was one of them that you had.
No, I thought I took.
You ended up switching, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know Phantasmal Force?
No.
Okay.
Damn, these are spells that freaking Gin wants. Invisibility and Phantasmal Force are on my wish list.
So you can learn or roll Arcana.
I do it like Bill and I. Please consider the following right now. Please
Okay,
consider the
so-
following. Warlocks can't learn spells from reading books. That's why I'm doing flavor checks.
So you can learn same thing with Aldridge. You can learn 2 of those 3 spells.
Okay. So I'm in invisibility, disguise self, and phantasmal force. Okay.
Yep.
That's an easy choice.
And Darcy's gonna roll Arcana. Oh my god. Darcy's getting 3 spells.
What the fuck?
Yeah, this book I'm carrying causes my intelligence to be 20, so...
Wait, I think, does mine give me +1 as well?
Yours gives you +1 to intelligence, yeah.
Oh,
the
shit.
Codex Copius. So
Yeah,
add
she
that
rolled
as like a
19,
modifier.
But you need to roll above a 20 to get all 3.
Well, I
That's
think
okay.
the Codex Copius gives it to +1 to intelligence checks and intelligence saving throws. It does not give you +1 to like intelligence overall.
It just says
Different.
the increase to intelligence increases +1. Yeah, checks and saving throws.
hmm
Alright, so Darcy...
By the way, Aldrich, are you gonna use the Codex Copius's ability like at the start of the day or like now when
Yeah,
you
I'm
read a
still
passage?
trying to...
Whenever you open up that Google sheet, you can like see the spells, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you would pick the highest level that you can cast. Kind of like
That
you
one?
can cast up to 3rd level spells right now, right?
No, only
Second
second.
level?
You
Okay,
get
so
3rd level, yeah.
You would
shit.
look at the 2nd level table, and that's the spell you would learn for the day. And I think the DM should resolve it, and not you, because it's just better that way. Because like every time you
Sorry.
open that Google sheet, it does a random spell.
Oh, okay, so I should resolve...
If Aldrich says, "Hey, I want to learn a spell from Codex Copius. I'm going to do the 30-minute read at the morning or whatever," you would open up
and
the
I've got-
Google sheet.
I've got that description somewhere.
Codex
You share that with me?
Copius is in the handouts. You can just click on the link at the bottom, and it opens up the generator that I made.
Okay, so John, have you done that?
Well, he was just saying...
Oh,
So whenever
Um,
you want to do it, I'm just saying I think the DM should resolve it because it's based on a spreadsheet that, like, I don't know, if you opened it, every time you change a cell, it re-rolls all the formulas. So I think the DM should do it. That's what I was saying.
that is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'll read it while I'm in the library.
I'd say it takes about 30 minutes. So it's like 30 minutes to an hour, short rest time.
Didn't open in a new tab, so I got X out of roll 20. I'm sorry. All right.
It's all right.
So how does this work?
So the second tab has...
Okay.
So basically, like, it's just rolling for every single level. So for a character that's level 4, you would roll. You would look at the 2nd level column because that's the maximum level of spells that he could learn. So that column includes every 1st level and every 2nd level spell in the game.
And I just roll like a D100.
Well,
it
I would
already
say
says it
I would
at the top.
the red.
Every time
Oh,
you
I see,
refresh, it
okay.
says,
yeah.
yeah.
So I have like
Alright,
I have a
so-
formula thing in there.
Okay. So you get the spell Warding Bond.
Yeah.
I don't know what that does.
Yep. So you have to look that up yourself. The links aren't in the thing or whatever. And if it's something that like I got this from a website that like included every 5e spell. So if you come across something that like doesn't exist, it's just because that source. I have the source in the top right corner, the link where I added it, everything.
So since Darcy rolled above a 25, she's going to pick one of her spells and she's going to take Invisibility. And she also gets the spell Blur.
Blur's good as hell. Those are 2 good spells.
And so
Nice.
Darcy now has both those. You guys can go ahead and go out, or you can spend more time in the library if you want.
What is the name? How do you spell this person's name? The Quillen guy you keep saying?
I made that up on the fly. It's spelled like this, Quinen.
Quinan. Okay. Yeah, I just want to get that down. I guess Gin would look for like some more books by Quinan to get like a better understanding. Maybe not like he's not spending enough time here to read them, but he would look for any more books and get an understanding of this guy's like a bigger swath, like a swath of his body of work. In addition,
Yeah, so I think
he's an artist. You said?
Yeah, he's primarily an artist, but he's sort of written.
Is he
manuscripts
contemporary?
On the people. He is contemporary.
Okay, so now Gin is
You're
on
not
track
artist.
to find this guy at the art festival somewhere in the city now, and he
Yeah,
would ask the
so I
librarian on
think-
that on the way out.
He is contemporary. I believe he's a little older. I think as you're searching, he actually finds some of the manuscripts that describe some of the people he's talked to. Some of those people are not alive anymore. Some of those people have disappeared, and some of those people, he says, are still can be found.
And my understanding from these books is that this guy has contact. He has made contact with the far realm, and that's how he's depicting these images. Is that like that's his thing, or is that just like an aspect of his work, and he's more varied, or is that like that's his nut?
So he has spent. This guy has spent a large amount of time tracking down powerful sorcerers and wizards and warlocks, and you gather that he is a relatively powerful warlock himself, and so that's how he's sort of able to get these people's ears. Obviously, a lot of them are very secretive and can be dangerous, so he's very careful about the people he picked. But he has basically spent a significant amount of time tracking down people that have had contact with entities from the far realms, and has spent much of his time illustrating the things that they describe.
Okay. Yep. Gin is got making mental notes. Yep, that's all I would do. I would say, yeah, I would ask the librarian on the way out, kind of like after looking through some of these books, like this Quinan fellow, Quinan. I don't know how to say it. Do you think he's in the city? Do you think he's here for the Hard Festival?
She would say, I believe his residence is here, so it wouldn't surprise me if he was here.
That's
However,
great.
he does travel often for work, as I'm guessing you might have surmised.
Yes.
But he travels all over the world.
But he
tracking
wouldn't
down
miss the art
specific
festival.
subjects.
And you'd be pointing at her. You'd be like, you wouldn't miss this, right?
Unlikely. He's passionate about the art, and his art is very well respected among certain circles. So I think, if anything, he may have some stuff on display. He's generally well respected, so you could probably even find him at one of the art shows across the city.
Okay. Gin would reach his hand out, kind of put both hands together to like shake her hand and be like, thank you. And as he's walking out, he's like pointing at her. He's like, I greatly respect your profession, by the way.
She kind of raises her mask a little bit. She's looking at you a little incredulously, and she says, thank you. I don't get that very often. I'm always happy to meet some of my own kin that enjoy the love of reading.
She a drow?
She is a drow.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay. I would take my mask off and be just like, you're awesome. I just point at her as I'm like walking out the door. It's like, I will be back at some point. I'll let you know that for sure.
She snaps her fingers and points at you, and she's like, hey, you're not so bad yourself. Also, you're very attractive. And then she puts her mask back on and goes back to reading her book.
Gin like stumbles out the door.
All right, that was a productive library session. Everybody rolled well. Gin.
What was her name?
She said she didn't give you her name. Actually, you didn't get it.
I'm gonna go back in.
Okay.
I would like reach my head back in and be like, what was your name?
It's Alandra.
Gin. I'll be back. And I close the door.
Nice to meet you again. All right. I know it's getting kind of late, so if you guys want to, that was relatively productive. You got the intro. If we want to stop here, all right. Well, we can continue exploring the festival.
Nice.
I guess explore the festival more in earnest in our next session.
Sweet. I'm gonna black bag him.
Black bag him, bring him to your place. Make him play.
I've had a few.
I'm having one right now.
I've had a few, folks.
Let's go.
Oh.
Woo! Confirmed. Yeah.
All right. Let me arrange my tab.
There's no problem.
I feel like this would be so much easier if I just had like a battle station. I should just set
battle station's a good app. Like multiple screens.
Yeah. All right. Is everybody in roll 20? Yeah, you are.
I'm in here, yeah.
Good shit. We get Darcy's character sheet up. All right. So we left off last night. We had gone to the Great Library of Travel Nostra. Everybody had learned some spells. Again, had a weird out-of-body experience with some eldritch horrors. And now we are outside. And the festival is ongoing. So we can do whatever we want.
Does Bud still want to go to the tavern? You want to get some brews in you, Bud?
Yep.
All right. Tavern is right here, so we're right next to it.
What's it called?
It is called Death & Co.
I'm strolling in.
All right. As you walk up to the bar, there's kind of normal-looking human man. He's got blonde hair. He greets you and he says, hello, folks. The place is a little crowded right now, but you're welcome to go on in. Just a fair warning. This is in theme with much of the rest of the city. This is an art-themed bar, but the art is the art of the cocktail. So you'll see some of our 6 bartenders making their signature cocktails, each with signature effects. And with that, he sort of opens the double swinging doors and lets you in. It's not like a normal-looking tavern you've normally been to. It's not. It's actually like pretty nice inside. There's huge like white marble bar, and standing behind it, sort of just standing nonchalantly with their hands behind their back, are 6 bartenders. And they're like a relatively calm scene compared to the rest of the tavern, which is just going buck wild and all sorts of weird shit's happening. There are like people kind of floating off the ground. There are people running around really quickly and falling everywhere. And everybody just seems like they're having a fucking great time. And so as you walk in, you're kind of greeted by a hostess, and she says, yeah, so the way this works is you can go up to any of our signature bartenders and order their signature drink. And as you're looking, you see each of the bartenders is wearing a mask, much like everybody else in the city right now. Bartender 1 has a sad puppy mask on. Bartender 2 is wearing a raven mask. Bartender 3 is wearing a horse mask. Bartender 4 is wearing a pharaoh mask. Bartender 5 is wearing an eagle mask. And bartender 6 is wearing a red dragon mask.
Again goes to the raven.
And all right. So you walk up and he greets you and he's like, "How's it going? I am making my signature drink, which is called the Mancini. and would be happy to make it for you if you'd like.
Yes, please. Give me that sig.
Yep. He says, all right. He whips you up a drink really fast. He kind of each of the bartenders has a signature way of making their drink, and the Raven sort of just spreads his hands out, and they sort of glow with a purple light, and all of the sort of bartending apparatuses just sort of float in front of him and make the drink without him touching. And it looks really cool, especially since we're wizards. We're like, yeah, that's how I want it.
Yeah, Gin is like staring at that in
Darcy's
awe.
pretty into that.
Gin is staring at that in awe, and like he's making a mental note that he wants this guy to like show him how to do that at a future date.
All right. And so he makes you a drink, and it comes out looking like that. The tasty looking, bougie looking cocktail, and you can quaff it at your leisure.
An old fashioned? Fucking Gin, that's his favorite drink.
It's actually a Mancini.
These are all is that actually a Mancini? That's a fantasy Mancini. A fantasy Chini.
What a noob.
I have this book called Alchemy in a Glass that was written by this famous cocktail bartender in Manhattan that I pulled all the drinks from.
Sweet. All right, Gin will take that. He'll tip his glass, say thank you to the Raven mask, and start nursing it.
All right, what is everybody else doing?
Aldridge wants to go to the Red Dragon.
All right.
Classic Aldridge.
He greets you, and he's got a pretty gruff voice. He's like, hello, young, strange-looking dinosaur thing. He can't really tell if you're like a kid, but he assumes since you were let in that you're like an adult human that you're allowed to be here. So he's like, all right, well, my signature drink is called Ground to Glass, and I'd be happy to make it for you.
That sounds really interesting. Yeah, I'll take one.
All right. So he kind of whips up a drink, and like he sort of makes it with his hands, but at the very end he kind of like snaps his fingers, and a little flame comes up, and he throws it at the drink, and it kind of splashes, and it looks like the flames kind of go into the drink, and your drink looks like it looks like that. The rim has kind of got this charred ash, but instead of it being ash like you would expect it to be of something burnt, it's a tasty sort of cinnamon thing.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna give him a little tip. I don't know how much GP I have, but I'll just throw a couple on the counter for him and say thanks. And also ask if you have any straws so I could drink it from my like dinosaur mask.
Absolutely. He pulls out like a hilariously long like.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's
straw for you.
Exactly what I need.
He's like I strangely enough I have exactly what you need, and he pulls it out and hands it to you.
Sweet.
And
okay.
All right.
I'm sipping on it through the mask for sure.
All right, and Darcy's going to run up to the bartender in the sad puppy mask. She thinks it's cute, and she's like, "I want whatever you're serving." And he kind of says, "Well, I'm making a drink called the Apology," and he sort of sounds like Eeyore. And he kind of quickly, like, slowly and methodically makes a drink. Does it with like the utmost care. Is very precise in all his measurements, and it comes out looking like this. And Darcy's kind of delighted. She likes that there's a little apricot in it, and takes it and is sort of sipping on it. And she is surprised at how strong it is. Bud, what do you want?
Bud walks to the closest bartender.
Okay, so the closest one is the one Darcy just went to.
Bud walks to the second one.
That's the Raven.
The second one is the Raven. Which
you want a Mancini?
It's fine. You can get.
Bud walks to the third one. No, he just walks to the closest unoccupied one. I assume we all just went to different ones at the same time.
That's the one with the horse mask, and he says, "Well, hello there, good sir. It looks like maybe you're interested in trying my drink. It's called Off to the Races." And he makes a show of how quickly he can make the drink. He's like tossing up like the cups and like catching the liquid as he's pouring it. It's like a fancy show of acrobatics, and it looks like this. And so Darcy's all excited. She's like, "Yay, we're finally celebrating and not fucking getting murdered by otherworldly horrors." And she like goes to cheers everybody.
Huzzah!
Yeah, I want to ask: Does Root drink? Does Root need a drink, or should we ask for one more?
No, but this is water.
It's not. Maybe it tastes like water to you, but
roll a Constitution.
Everybody can roll me a Constitution check just to see how you're handling your drink, and there's also going to be some other stuff.
Gin actually, like, regardless of the Constitution, he hasn't eaten in a while, so he's like empty stomaching this, and he's like drinking it quicker than he probably should, and he would like turn to like turn away from the bar and like turn to like the big room that's full of people. And he would raise his drink, maybe like it's really loud, maybe it's quiet, but he would be like, "Who likes art?"
it's really fucking loud in there, and everybody's like having a good time. But the few patrons that do hear you turn around and are like, "Oh, I fucking love art," and like raise their glass to you, and like kind of a couple of them cheers you, and maybe it's a little messy.
And Gin finishes his drink as he does that.
In a good mood. All right, so yeah, regardless of Constitution saving throws, these particular signature cocktails you've drank hit like a bit of a truck. First of all, it's the equivalent of drinking 6 drinks. So maybe Bud's probably just a little buzzed. I think Darcy's just straight up drunk, and I don't know about Aldrich and Gen. Sounds like Gen's probably drunk.
Gen is getting there. No, he's like already like feeling good. Like he's at that like he's like beyond buzzed.
All right, and you guys start to notice some peculiar stuff that doesn't normally happen when you drink alcohol. Gen, you're feeling all of a sudden as if you like could do like 10 backflips and like not think anything about it. And you're going to have +4 on any acrobatic feats that you attempt while under the effects of the Mancini.
Would you say that I'm in my feelings?
You could say that you're in your feelings. Bud, you all of a sudden you feel faster than you've ever felt in your entire life. It's almost like the world is moving slower compared. You're kind of like Fry when he has like his 500 cups of coffee.
Yes.
So you feel like you can move really quickly. And Aldridge, why don't you go ahead and roll me a d20? You're feeling a little. It's like a particular. God damn it, Dylan. I'm the only one that controls the jukebox in here, but I'll allow this. So Gen's doing the In My Feelings challenge, and it's like standing on a table, making like a heart symbol, and like
he's kicking his legs around.
He's asking if Alondra, the librarian, is writing to him. You're on the table screaming, "Alondra, do you love me?" And yeah, so you kind of burp, and a little bit of like smoke comes out. It definitely seems unusual. It's maybe you didn't quite. It's not quite as like maybe extreme as you feel like it could be on that roll, but some little smoke comes out, and you're feeling a little warmer than normal.
Okay.
And if you guys were to look at Darcy, she's like, she'd be like wide-eyed, and is like it's as if she's like listening to like 10 different conversations and comprehending all of them perfectly. And
there's like equations running down her eyes and stuff.
Yeah, she's like Zach Galifianakising right now.
Yep.
With like all the equations, and then she looks at Gen, and she opens her mouth to speak, and she just says, yeah, and then Darcy cannot speak articulately for the next hour.
Gen would just grab her by both her arms and start like swinging her around and start dancing.
Darcy's smiling and into it, but she's also kind of bewildered because she feels it looks like she understands what's going on and is like, but can't vocalize anything at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys can hang out in the tavern. There's people talking about all sorts of stuff. You can ask about the festival. You can, if you want to do the normal rumor thing, that's fine too. Or you can just party.
Gen would transition from getting lit for a moment, and he would go into like rumor mode. He'd do the classic like drunk person trying to like play it straight, and he would like walk into like a crowd and ask like, give me some rumors, and he'd be like doing like the come on thing with his hands. Yeah, come on, what do we got here?
As you walk up, you notice that the floor feels like ice, and you're kind of slipping everywhere. It's weird.
Okay. Gin would almost have like the urge, knowing that what you just said, where he feels a little bit more acrobatic. He would have the urge to try to like kind of like jump around. He would want to like jump. He would want to jump into a group of people and be like, "Come on, rumors!" Like he would leap into a group.
Okay. Make an acrobatics check and add 4 to whatever it is.
Yep. All right, so that 19 plus 4.
Like, you do like a no hands cartwheel into a group of people, and everybody's like, "Fuck yeah!" It was awesome. And like you land it perfectly, but all of a sudden the floor feels like ice again. You're kind of slipping everywhere, and it's like kind of hard to stand. And some other dude goes like, "Oh, dude, I had the Mancini too," and he does a backflip like seamlessly in front of you, and everybody's like, "Fuck yeah!"
I do the double point at him.
Slipping too. It's
I'm
weird.
Like, yeah.
You're both kind of slipping and staring at each other while laughing and having a good time. And now you can roll an investigation check for your rumors.
Okay.
Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me, 'cause I want you.
With that, so you hear
A little bit off my
you hear
game.
kind of one thing, and so you hear one rumor, and it's that there's a masked ghost that wanders the market square at midnight.
And I need you.
Oh my god. Gin's all in on that. A masked ghost that wanders the market square at midnight. Gin's not wearing a watch because watches maybe don't exist. Maybe they probably do, but he's not wearing one, and he would immediately make a mental note of midnight. What time is it right now?
It's like 1 in the afternoon.
Okay.
Trap money, Benny.
Gin's like, wait, really? To whoever said that.
From the block like you Jenny.
All right, we're playing my favorite Rage song now.
Go ahead.
All right, so we're Rage.
Power glide. Okay.
Um,
So that's exactly what Gin's doing on the ice. He's power gliding right now.
okay, and yeah, if that's something you want to investigate, you definitely can. But it's definitely a ways away from midnight.
Yeah, I would just make a mental note of that.
Bud and Aldrich, what are you doing?
So Aldrich kind of is enjoying the drink, and he drinks it and finishes it, and he actually wants to try another one.
Okay. Each of these drinks cost like half a silver, which is pretty expensive for as far as drinks go. But you can tell these are like super potent, so you're getting your bang for your buck, and also just weird shit's happening to all of you. Go ahead and roll a d20 before you while you're ordering your drink.
Okay. Well, I was gonna order a different one. I want to get that crossfade, but yeah.
The crossfade.
Right, which bartender do you want to go up to?
Which ones haven't been visited yet?
There's a guy in a pharaoh mask and a guy in an eagle mask.
Pharaoh?
Imagine like he looks like Nasus.
Okay, that kind of Pharaoh. Okay.
Gin would be in on that, actually, also, but not right.
I'm gonna go to the eagle.
Okay. He greets you and he's like, "Well, hello there." And he's you actually can. I'll say you're standing on a bar stool, sort of, since you're a little small, and you actually notice he's kind of sitting cross-legged in midair.
Wow.
And
Okay.
he's just floating there. And he sort of.
Do we have like a moment because we're both wearing like bird-esque masks, even though mine's
Yeah,
like
you
a
do.
dinosaur?
He's
Okay.
like, it's a little prehistoric for my taste, but I dig your style. And he's like, my drink's called the Vesper, and I'll whip it up for you right now.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have one, please.
All
Please
right.
and thank you. I'm imagining that like the beak on my mask is like longer than I am tall, so like it's kind of like a hassle getting around in the bar.
Oh, John,
Kinda
that's
like-
ridiculous. That's not how I've been imagining it. Fuck that. It doesn't make any sense.
I've been imagining it pretty
You
long.
saw
maybe
the
not
picture
long
of it.
as his
That's
body.
exactly what.
But
it
that's
would be like.
that's impractically long. I'd imagine it's shortened for like practically.
No, no, this is the real thing. It's a lightweight mask. Surprisingly, like Aldrich is able to like move his face around pretty freely.
So when
but
you
it's-
turn, you're like hitting people like 3 people in the back of the knees.
it's like a comedy. Yeah, like I have to make sure it kind of like go up and over people, and it's kind of like people have to limbo under it. That's what I'm imagining.
Okay. So you're having a tough time with this with this mask, but it's kind of funny, and you have like a comically long bendy straw that you're drinking out of,
Yes.
and the bendy straw is actually bent like more towards the drink as opposed to towards your mouth because it has to go such a long way to get into your mouth.
Yeah.
And you are all right. So you are drinking. Oh yeah, I already put it in here. So it's like this airy drink, and when you take a sip, it sort of just tastes like lemon and cold air. And are you just kind of drink the whole thing? Just quaff it?
Well, so after the first one, Aldrich is a small boy. He doesn't want to go too ham. He enjoyed the taste of the first drink, but he's going to take this one a little bit slower.
Okay. Also, when you order the drink, go ahead and make a roll a d20 for me.
Aldrich is that Russian kid dancing in the club with sunglasses right now.
What do I do with that? Yeah, you're fine. Nothing happens.
Interesting.
And as you're sipping the drink, you start feeling a little more light on your feet. And as you can kind of drink it as slow as you want, but once you get towards the bottom, your feet just leave the ground, and all of a sudden you are A, very inebriated, and B, hovering 5 feet above the ground.
Do I have control
while.
to be able to move, or am I just hovering without the ability to move?
You don't have the greatest control, so you're gonna need to, in order to move around, you're gonna need to roll a dexterity check.
Now, can I use my beak as a method to kind of like push myself like a paddle, more or less, like I'm in a boat.
You're kind of is your beak more? Is your mask 5 feet long?
I'm gonna
That's
leave
gonna
that.
have implications later in this. Later in this arc.
You're gonna have to roll for that. Nobody knows.
All right, what should I roll to determine the length of the mask? Well, I feel like because it's not gonna be like one
It's not gonna
bud.
be what?
Peanut butter inside, baby.
All right, how about I roll? I'm trying to think of how we can determine the length of the mask.
While you're deciding this, Gin is like in a conversation with whoever he just got the rumor from, and he's like bored. So he is going to like drop out of the conversation literally and do a backward somersault back to the bar, and he wants to get a drink from the Pharaoh guy.
Okay, make an acrobatics check. The music is no longer appearing. Oh, there it is. And I just refreshed and it appeared. God damn it. What did you roll?
I rolled a 12 plus 4 is 16.
All right, so yeah, you do a pretty sweet backflip. It's not like the sweetest thing anybody's ever seen, but it's pretty solid.
Well, it was more like a somersault. Like I just dropped down onto my back and then did like a backwards like somersault into like leaping towards the bar, and then like maybe I land and I'm my back's to the bar, and then I turn around.
Okay, so you did a pretty cool somersault. Roll me a dexterity check.
Okay, 13, lucky number.
Yeah, you're kind of you sort of just slip and slide in the bar, and you kind of catch yourself and like jolt in front of the Pharaoh.
And then I act casual, and I have my arm over the thing, and I'm like, Mr. Pharaoh.
He looks at you, he's like, "Who dares try my drink?"
It is me, Gin the Warlock.
Warlock, eh? We'll see. And he says, "My drink's called Blood and Sand," and he does a sort of more raven-y thing that happened. He kind of just like, but his like hands are much more aggressive, and the things are like flying around really quickly. And he makes you a Blood and Sand, and that looks like
Gin would cross his arms and do like double metal horns while he does this, because that Blood and Sand and the way he's doing it is metal as fuck. Oh yeah.
All right.
In
And so
universe,
like that.
Gin would enjoy that. Dylan, maybe not.
And yeah, so you guys are hanging out. But what is Bud doing?
Bud asks where the bathroom is and walks out the back door without paying.
Make a stealth check.
Bud's a psychopath. Dine and dash. I've never factored it in to like alignments. A dine and dasher, is that neutral evil or is it chaotic evil?
I mean, you get the feeling that maybe these bartenders are.
You have to remember, Bud's lived in the
Probably
woods
not.
for 300 years.
No,
I don't
I'm
think
not
he
questioning
doesn't
Bud's.
use currency.
I'm just saying, like, I just wonder where dining and dashing fits into like the alignment mythos, because I've never thought about that. It's hilarious.
So Bud, you drank the. Okay, so I'm gonna have you make. So you're feeling really fast right now. So you move really quickly.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna make you make this with disadvantage. So make the stealth check with disadvantage. So you're moving really quickly, which is kind of noticeable. And there's also some side effects to your drink you haven't noticed yet. So go ahead and roll disadvantage.
Bud could cast invisibility if he really needed to, or disguise self.
That is your prerogative. That will not change the effects of this beverage you have been imbibed.
Okay, then Bud goes to the bathroom and into a stall, which I assume there are here, maybe, and
There are. And
disguises himself to look like Aldrich.
With or without the mask?
I mean, I can do whatever.
You
I
can do
just
whatever.
can't change my size by too much.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Are you,
Yeah,
you change?
with the mask.
Okay.
Okay, so when you run to the bathroom, you move really quickly. Like it's like you're moving faster than anybody in the room, except for a couple other people that maybe had the same drink you did. And as you try to stop yourself to open the door, you slam into the door and kind of get knocked down.
Okay.
And you realize maybe you don't have as much control over your speed as perhaps you would like. But yeah, you can go, once you get up, you can kind of move in, and you're sort of clattering all over the place. You try to stop at a stall, and you go too far and hit the wall, and it's just mayhem in the bathroom. But like everybody in the bathroom kind of gets it because they know what kind of stuff people are drinking. So yeah, you can go ahead and disguise yourself, but you are prone to crashing into just about everything.
Okay. Well, I disguise myself as Aldrich, and then I come back out, and I want to run out the front door.
Okay, so I
Not
will
the back
say
door this time. The front
they
door.
would have asked you for payment right as they handed you the drink. So if you had walked off without paying, they would have been a little.
What if I open the tab at this time?
There's no credit cards.
Well, yeah, but this is
okay,
okay,
fine.
it's
You can
more
open
like
the tab.
a
You
it's
can
an
open
honor
the tab.
system.
All right, you can open a tab. All right, and
I
you're
mean,
gonna
I
go
can
for the
also
door.
create funny money, illusory money.
You're also, but you're also in a place where you think maybe you've seen some people use some magic here, so maybe these people are wizardly.
They'll be able to sniff it out. Okay.
Figure a bartender might know what fake currency looked like.
At this point, Gin is, after he's finished his Pharaoh drink, he is up on a table and he's doing the In My Feelings challenge, and he's cast dancing lights around himself.
Okay.
He hasn't been this intoxicated in a long time. You said dexterity?
Yeah.
You're full Lalo at this point.
I'm full Lalo.
Alright, so you drank. Oh, and also again, you and make a performance check while you're doing this with advantage, because when you drank that blood and sand,
Yep.
you all of a sudden feel like you suddenly know that you know exactly what to say to people and to like achieve your goals. And all of a sudden, all of your charisma skill checks are gonna have a +5.
Okay. Yeah, so Gin inexplicably has a pillow he's clutching in his hand. And he has dancing lights going, and he's waving on top of the ceiling.
All right, so people are digging it. They're like, okay. Some people are like, ah, whatever. Other people are like, yeah, fuck yeah. Maybe some other people get on. The dexterity check though, you are slipping. You've slipped and fallen on this table multiple times, but you're still doing a pretty good rendition of the In My Feelings challenge.
Okay.
And screaming about the library in the library like across the street.
Exactly, literally across the street. I just walked in. Okay, sweet.
All right, so it's a rager in here. If you guys were looking at Darcy, I like a wood elf that would have noticed sort of her not being able to speak and kind of pull her. And if you were to listen to their conversation, you'd notice that like neither of them are able to speak. But the wood elf would be kind of like he'd drag her to a corner in the room and just sort of like point out to the crowd. And then like both of them would kind of go wide-eyed, and it looked like they were just sort of tripping balls.
Okay. Gin would take notice of that. In his drunken like mind, he's like having a good time, but like his investigative like concern for friend mind would notice that, and he would keep an eye on that situation. Somebody pulling Darcy aside would kind of alert him, but while he's dancing.
Yeah, you can roll a perception check on that.
Okay.
So actually roll insight.
Oh, sorry. It's just the first one, I guess.
It doesn't matter. Either one. It doesn't seem like the wood elf has like malintent. He just like it seems like he could tell that Darcy drank the same thing.
They're experiencing the same, yeah. Okay.
And was confused. But they're like kind of. It's like they're doing some kind of crazy drug together.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a party in here, and also you would have overheard that sort of the hostess is like, if you don't want to leave the bar under the effects of some of these drinks, we understand it's kind of mayhem out in the streets. You might get in trouble with some of the guards. So we do have a salve to erase your drunken state and cure some of the effects here. But you can also leave at your own risk without taking that if you want. So you guys are just partying. And it's a rager in there. There's a bard, and he's fucking playing In My Feelings a lot because Gen keeps requesting it. And like Darcy is just like whenever In My Feelings comes on, she's just like in the corner, like eyes closed, like fists clenched, like in euphoria. And yeah, so you guys can do whatever you want. Aldrich, you are floating around the room. You can do whatever you want in the tavern, but you will have to roll a dexterity check to control yourself.
Okay. I'm kind of just hanging out right now.
Did Bud walk out?
Yeah, Bud just got
Bud was going to go to the nearest back alley and explore and see.
Can I like roll to see if I recognize that there's two Aldridges?
Yeah, why don't everybody, Aldrich, Dan, and Darcy are going to roll perception checks.
Damn it.
Darcy,
I do not notice.
Darcy gets +5 to that. So Darcy definitely notices, but she can't articulate anything to any of you. So
I am too lit to recognize that there's two Aldridges. There's two of everyone in this room right now.
And then what did you roll, Aldrich?
What did I need to roll for?
I was just going to see, you could roll a perception check to see if you notice
sure.
that there's another version of you running around.
Oh.
All right, you don't see shit.
Yeah.
You're like facing the ceiling, like in like just fucking like, wow, floating. This is cool.
I guess like while if I didn't notice Bud was gone, obviously I wouldn't notice that. So you're saying that I now feel as though I can or basically have increased general charisma, and I'm aware of that. Gin is aware of that. Okay.
Yep.
At some point in the back of my mind, I would want to take advantage of that and stop partying for a moment. Like I would take off my sunglasses and be like, all right, wait. And I would, can I roll a general insight to see on all the bartenders who I think would have the best insider knowledge on the art festival in general or Argyros? Because I'm still on track with that. I want to that's who I want to know information on, and I want to see which of the bartenders would probably have the best insight on that specifically. The festival and or like the top guy that's like running the festival.
Yeah. So you can roll insight. You won't get the bonus for your charisma stuff because insight's wisdom. But
Yeah.
you could.
Well, this
yeah,
is
you
just
can
to
roll
get
insight
to the
see if
point
you-
where I
yeah,
ask
just to-
somebody.
Just to figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, go ahead and roll.
8, below average.
It doesn't really seem like none of them stand out to you as knowing more or less than anybody else.
Gin would go with his
Classic.
gut, knowing ravens are one of the smartest birds, and he would go to the raven bartender that he got his first drink from, and he would just kind of lean over and he would ask, he's like, "Hey, I don't want another drink. I'm already fucking lit, but I want to ask you about the art festival." And he would say
Sure
that to
thing.
him.
He's like, sure thing. What are you looking to know?
This Argyros, am I saying that right? This Argyros fellow, how can
Argyros, yeah.
how can I get in touch with this guy? I want to meet him. I want to pick his brain. I want to find out what he's all about. Is that possible, or am I dreaming? Am I drunk? I am drunk, but am I dreaming?
I think you are drunk, but I don't think it's It's certainly not impossible. As far as the wealthy art collectors of the city, the one you're inquiring about has by far the highest reputation of sort of being benevolent and kind to everybody he meets. Actually, his show is tonight, and it's one of the few that's open to the public. So
I'll be there.
And he'll definitely be there. But there will definitely be a decent amount of people vying for his attention there. So he may be kind of hard to pin down. But if you were to get his ear, he'd certainly listen. He's generally thought, from what I hear, I've never spoken to the guy, but he's generally thought of as a pretty friendly fellow.
But how?
And he would say,
How do I get his ear? How can I stand out? I feel like you know. And I would be like, I'd be doing the thing where I'm like reaching across, kind of like trying to grab him. I'd be like, I feel like you know. I'd be trying to grab his collar.
You're trying to grab his collar?
Well, I'm trying to like grab his hand or his collar or whatever's like nearest to be like, I feel like you know. I'd be like pointing my finger in like his chest. I'd be like, you're special, Raven man.
Okay, make a persuasion check. And
Yep.
that's 5.
So 12.
All right, so 12.
I'm already
he's
really
like-
good at persuasions. That's a really bad roll.
Yeah, it's a quiet roll for you. You rolled a 2. Yeah, he'd say, yeah, look, man, I don't know what to tell you. Like, he's a big, powerful guy in the city. He's probably the wealthiest dude in town. Like I said, he'd probably talk to you if you ran into him in the streets or something. But if you happened to chance upon him while he was sort of in between exhibitions at his art exhibit. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you how to like pin him down or get his ear. I mean, he loves new art, and he's often like looking around for artists, but he typically tries to be the patron of sort of the more lower class citizens of Travelnestra. And I think unless I'm reading you wrong here, you'd have to be quite the artist to get on his radar right now.
Gin is like thinking back to his childhood when he used to like draw, but like he doesn't do it anymore. So he's like, fuck. And he would be like, yeah.
But he would shrug and say, hey, you never know. Like I said, if you do run into him, he'll talk to you.
Well, I'll do my best. Thank you, Raven man. And I like reach out for a fist bump. See what he does.
Yeah, he fist bumps you. He's like, hey, no problem, man. Glad you're enjoying the drink and enjoying the tavern.
And then I'm like, oh, I am. And I'm going to try to do another backwards like somersault backflip
Okay, make an acrobatic check.
in front of him, making sure he like notices it.
Oh yeah, that's a 25. Yeah, you do a double backflip,
Damn.
and it's fucking wild. And you stick it perfectly, and then the floor becomes slippery again. You're kind of slipping, but you're also drinking his drink, and so he knows exactly what's happening. He fucking he claps and he's applauding. Like,
As I do that,
oh, that's excellent use of my beverage.
as I do that double backflip and I put my hands out, I would like notice that like I'm a flip wizard right now, or a flip warlock rather, and I would point at Darcy wherever she is. Like I'd try to find her and be like, "Hey, I'm doing the thing."
Darcy'd look at you. Darcy actually, let's see, Darcy can roll perception. Yeah, she notices you do that. She's like, "Damn, Gen's fucking balling out right now. That's not normal for Gen."
No.
She can't articulate any of that to you. Though. She's like, you hear her over in the corner, and she's like, ah! And she kind of has her arms up in the air, and she's smiling.
Much of Gin's biggest fuck ups over the last like couple months of his life have been physical acrobatic fuck ups. So this is huge for him.
Yeah, and you're also you're still slipping, and like walking is a challenge for you. Flipping is not, but walking is.
Okay, that's fine. That's a great trade off. Every time I
so
slip,
Bud,
I just slip into the In My Feelings challenge. It actually just works.
Okay.
It works. This is it, Chief.
All right, so Bud, you're in the back alley. What are you doing?
Bud's making his way. I mean, he wants to find something of interest in the back alleys. I don't know
Okay,
if he would wander here or what, but that's ultimately where I would like
Why
to
don't
go.
you why don't you move your characters to where like the back alleys are? So like the I guess so the sort of
I mean, I
center of
guess
this
I would have
map
to
is like a
I
little
would have to
nicer.
pass through there, right?
So like I would say like this area at the bottom of the map is kind of
What
back alley-ish. The bottom, like center and bottom right,
Uh,
and then the top
top
is like the top
here.
right, and center is like
Okay,
that's like
I'll
pretty
go
back
there
alley-ish.
then. Okay, I'll go this
Okay.
way. Go like this. I'm gonna wander, even though I'm gonna wander very quickly.
Okay, so you're kind of slipping and sliding into walls and stuff. You didn't take the salve, so you're moving really quickly, and everybody's kind of looking at you like, "What the fuck is going on there?" And you kind of slamming into walls and stuff. You run into a few people. They're like, hey, come on, man, what the hell is going on? Go ahead and roll a perception check for where you are right now.
10.
You hear like what sounds like a faint, like startled scream, and it's coming from over here.
Okay, I move towards it to investigate.
So as you do, you okay. So where are you moving to? All right, so you really move right there
Yeah.
because you have a hard time stopping, and you see a woman, and it looked like maybe she had been carrying a large canvas. It's laying at her feet. It's covered with sort of a plain creamish cloth, and there is a man in front of her holding a knife, and he is wearing a mask that looks like this, like a theater mask, and it's expressing, it's smiling, and he's walking towards her, knife drawn.
Okay.
Cops are on the way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's a constant noise in my apartment.
Bud would like to.
So I will say, just like you've been under the effects of this drink for long enough to know that you could get back to the tavern really quickly and tell your friends, but this woman might be in trouble. So you could maybe you probably would have time to like do something to this guy and then run and get your friends, or you could run and get your friends, but the woman's life may be in danger.
Okay. Bud cast Tasha's hideous laughter on him from the shadows,
Ooh, you
Okay.
did one.
a 30-foot range.
Nice.
Break that off for me.
What does it do?
Yeah, what does it do?
A creature of your choice that you can see within range perceives everything as hilariously funny and falls into a fit of laughter if the spell affects it. Target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or fall prone, becoming incapacitated and unable to stand up for the duration, which is a whole minute. A creature
you
with an
said wisdom?
intelligence score of 4 or less. You just got to make a wisdom saving throw.
Yep.
Okay. And what's your spell save DC? Sorry.
He has to beat 13.
Okay, well, he rolled a critical 1.
Okay, good.
And so he falls to the ground, like drops his knife, and he's just laughing uncontrollably. And the
Painfully
woman kind of
laughing.
looks around.
Yep.
Yeah, he's painfully laughing, and the woman kind of looks around, and he's I guess he roll damage for that. Is there damage that he has to take?
No.
Or is it?
No, he just
incapacitated?
keeps, he's just prone now for
He's
a whole.
prone, and then they roll at the end of each turn or whatever. I think is how it works.
All right, so he's laughing uncontrollably, and the woman's kind of taken aback. She's like, "What the hell is going on?" And you hear from back, sort of over here, "Hey, Reg, what the fuck's going on over there?"
Wait, from
Do the
back
art,
where?
get out of there.
Hang it again?
From back, kind of over here to the right.
Okay.
And you hear like slow footsteps kind of walking up, and you do know that with your speed, you could get back to the tavern quicker than they would get to the scene. But it sounds like other people are coming.
So is this like fairly? I mean, is it fairly long? Is it dark? Like, is it? Can they like
It's like
easily see? They can't like see anything that's in like this area yet, or what?
Yeah, you can't see who's coming, but you hear multiple footsteps.
I assume they
It
can
sounds
see.
like so they can kind of they can't really see what's going on with him because they're far enough away to where they just sort of hear him like cackling, but he hasn't like it seemed like something that should have been maybe an easy pickup, and he is now like rolling on the floor laughing and has dropped his knife. So they just hear him cackling, and they're kind of coming to check on what the hell's going on.
Okay. There's a couple things I can do. You said I could get back to the tavern and back.
You could, your friends couldn't. I will say that I'm gonna jump back to the tavern at this point, and Darcy did see you leave, and at this point she didn't see you come back, and she's a little worried, and so she's grabbing Gen and kind of jumping at Aldridge and saying, and like kind of pantomiming. She sort of like makes a flapping sound and like an old man look at Gen and Aldrich, and you guys can make insight checks to see if you understand what the fuck she's saying.
Kiki, do you love me?
And she does look worried. So with that, you kind of get that maybe she's talking about Bud, but you're not really sure what she means. And at this point, Darcy runs over to the woman. She asked for like the salve she was talking about. Yeah, and the woman's like kind of shaken at her urgency, and she pops it. and immediate. The effects are immediate. She's like, guys, I think, holy shit, that was fucking wild. But Bud wandered off somewhere. He hadn't come back. We've been partying for a little while.
Gen's doing the Michael Jordan back, like throw your hand back, and he's moving back, not getting what you're saying.
Okay. Oh, Eldritch, what are you doing?
I'm still just kind of floating in the air, right?
Yeah.
By the way, if Gen saw that, he would grab you by the shoulders and kind of lightly push you to see if you moved like a shuffleboard thing on to see if you just
he does.
floated in the direction and with the momentum that I gave him. Not that much. I just nudge.
He does, and Eldritch, you can make a dexterity check with disadvantage.
Okay.
To see how you're dealing with that.
Ooh.
Yeah, you're floating in the direction Gen pushed you.
I guess that would be. I probably would have pushed him not towards Darcy. I would have pushed him into the furor of the party.
I would like to cast improved minor illusion, and I want to make it. I mean, it says you can basically do any sound you want, but I'd like to make it sound like they're coming from the opposite direction, this direction, that there are a whole crowd of people running that way, basically, like confused chatter / talking loudly and screams of urgency, because I mean, and to try and basically from these dudes walking this way, that they should be able to hear that oh shit, people are already coming there, so we're gonna split type of thing, or at least make them make a decision of if they're gonna run into a bunch of people.
Yeah, okay, that's totally fine. And you do that. You're a very talented illusionist, so the illusionist, I'm not even gonna make the roll. It's convincing. And what you hear is he's like, hey, did you guys hear that? Skunk, go ahead, go check around the corner, see who's coming. If it's a big crowd of people with the guards, let's fucking split. And you feel like you bought yourself maybe another minute.
Which means Bud can
and
cast
now you could probably yeah, and you could probably get to the tavern.
Would I have any time to draw her towards me yet? Into would I have, the second that I cast Tasha's Hidden Laughter, had the opportunity to be come on, or would she not want to go down the other dark alley with a terrifying looking?
Yeah, she's at this point pretty freaked out.
Eyeless horror.
Kind of grabbed her canvas and sort of backing away from the guy that's laughing. So if we jump back to the tavern, Aldrich, what did you say you were doing? Did you listen to Darcy?
Did I listen to Darcy?
I pushed you, but I was pushing you right as Darcy was saying that. Yeah.
What did you tell me again, Darcy?
I just said that Bud's missing and I'm not sure where he is.
Oh. Yeah, I don't think I saw him go out anywhere. I didn't even see him for a while, actually. He seemed like he disappeared or something. But we should probably figure out where that is.
I'm a little concerned. I think Gen's kind of lit, but I'm going to go check on him.
Yeah.
And Darcy exits the bar. And she wouldn't have, let's see, is there anything there to allow her to tell her where you are? So Darcy is going to cast Unseen Servant, and let's see which way she goes.
Gen is going to insight Darcy leaving and just kind of to understand why that just happened, because he didn't really get it the first time she was talking, and he rolled a 7.
Okay, you have no idea why Darcy leaving doesn't strike you as weird.
Okay,
so Darcy actually rolled really well. I guess I should have rolled that in roll 20, and so she kind of intuits that maybe Bud might have gone to the back alleys of town, and so she sort of heads towards the more slummy part of town. So Darcy's right here. So Bud, what are you doing? You've created this minor illusion. You've bought some time. Are you just standing there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would come up a little bit towards her. I want her to. I don't care if she comes from with me, basically, but just fucking run. And if you want to talk, find me. Well, I don't want to say anything. I guess that the other guy in the laughing fit, I don't know if he would understand it in that state. But I'm just gonna tell her to run.
Okay. She looks at you and she's kind of make a persuasion check.
Oh God.
she sees you in this fucking scary ass mantis mask, and you're green skinned and hobbled, and she sees this person laughing in front of her that maybe tried to kill her, and she sort of backs into the wall, and she's kind of panicking and really scared. At this point, you see a guy peek around the corner, and he looks and he's like, "Hey, boss! There's no one coming!" And you hear the footsteps continue kind of towards you, and you think maybe they'll be here in another 30 seconds.
Am I able to cast a spell?
Yeah.
I would like to create bonfire, right in this, the opening that he looked out of.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and draw the bonfire there.
You should be hold Alt, right?
Yeah, at this point, so
Here. And this. Oh, sorry. That's not the right one. It's the wrong place. This 5 square.
okay, all right, cool. So there's a bonfire just appears there, and you're like, "Oh, hey, what the fuck? Oh, boss, there's a fire here." And it's like, God damn it, Reg, what the fuck is going on over there? And Reg is just fucking still just laughing hysterically. And at this point, you hear the big burly voice that sounds like maybe he's the boss. It's like, fuck this, I don't give a goddamn about no bonfire. I'm going in.
You taking some damage?
He's not quite there yet.
Okay.
And Darcy's gonna move a little closer, and I think she's gonna roll perception. She doesn't have her bonus, but all right, she hears the guy shout, and she's gonna shout like, "Bud, are you around here?"
All right, Root comes and finds you.
Okay.
I guess I could have sent Root back a long time ago. No, I guess I couldn't. Okay, but like, I mean, right after I cast like bonfire and hear your voice, like I have Root at least like come 10 feet behind me type of thing, and like I don't know, squawk something. So that because you have to be familiar with Root's sounds.
Right. She definitely knows. She definitely knows Root. Like I think she would immediately see Root and run to him, and then she'd sort of see you, and she said, "Bud, what's going on?"
There's just a girl who's getting there's a men in masks, and I'm trying to save her.
Okay. Darcy would pull out like a little scroll of paper because she keeps ink and paper on it at all times. She writes in her spellbook a lot, and she would write. She'd call her unseed servant back to her and write a note and say, take this to Aldrich. The unseed servant would take the note, and then a floating note would kind of fly over to the tavern, and Darcy would run to you. And also, as you did that and said that, a man carrying like a big sort of what looks like another canvas. He's dressed in fine clothes. His canvas is covered in a blue sort of tapestry, and he sort of peeks around the corner and hears that, and he puts he puts what he's wearing down. He's wearing this he puts what he's carrying down, and he's wearing this like hilariously like kind of crude paper mache whale mask, like 3D. It covers his entire head. He runs towards you guys, and I think Darcy would see, and she would immediately run to the girl. Be like, "Excuse me, ma'am, are you okay?" And at this point, Bud and Darcy are going to roll initiative. And this is kind of weird because I need to move us over. So you guys are still in the Aldrich and Bud are still in Aldrich and Gen are still in the tavern. Bud and Darcy are gonna be over here. So we're right here. There's a woman right here that Darcy has run up to. There's a roguish-looking dude that's dropped his knife and is laughing hysterically right here. And there's some guys running up.
Gen is in this moment right now is dancing.
Yeah, Gen is dancing his ass off. There's another guy.
No idea what's
following up.
He's doing the Running Man.
I would love to be doing the Running Man right now. And Darcy's gonna go ahead and she's gonna say, "Ma'am, come here." And she's gonna roll a persuasion check as well. She's like, "Stand behind me." And she rolls a 19. Yeah, shit. So the woman's like, okay. And in sort of before initiative, the woman kind of gets behind Darcy. And Darcy's like ready to go. And so the first thing that's going to happen is this guy is going to, he's going to rush to right here. And he says, he's going to look at Darcy and look at the woman. She's like, he's going to be like, "Is everything okay here?" And Darcy would respond, "I don't think everything is okay here." And she kind of nods sort of in this direction towards some ruffians that are rushing towards them. And let me redraw your bonfire. I'm just going to say it was bigger than it was because it was big here, and they're gonna have to run through it. Okay, and then it's going to be.
I can't. My screen's black.
Yeah, same.
Your screen's black.
Yeah.
What? Oh, okay. Sorry, I have fog of war on. Sorry, dudes.
I don't have fog of war on. Should me and Aldrich roll an initiative as well to take turns while we're like, I guess, away.
Okay, so but you guys are not gonna get a chance to act for a little while because the messenger has not made it to you.
Okay, makes sense.
But I will add you to the initiative order once you can. Okay, so it is now Darcy's turn, and so Darcy is going to, let's see, what is Darcy going to do? Darcy's got a lot of shit she can do now. Oh shit. Darcy's going to bust out one of her new spells, and she's going to cast Shatter right here. And these guys are going to make some, let's see.
Hopefully their constructs are gargoyles. Then Shatter
they
does
are
more.
Not. They appear to be humanoid ruffians. So they're going to see what is this dude's constitution. Oh, he does not pass. Let What is Darcy's spell save? One passes, and the other does not pass. Okay, so Bud and Darcy, you hear like this insanely loud ringing sound that like it's kind of oppressive from where you hear it, but right where it's emanating from, it's devastating. And these guys are going to take a good amount of damage. Oh god. So 2 of them are going to take full brunt of it. It seems like they're kind of staggered for a second, and they take 19 damage. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. One of them looks like horrible. It like devastated his mind. The other one, the kind of boss-looking one, sort of looks okay. And next is going to be the boss guy. He's just gonna stroll right through your bonfire. So it's a dexterity save, right?
Yes, it's a dex save.
Okay, what's the save?
13.
Okay, well, he rolled a 4, so he's not saved. So go ahead and roll that damage for me.
Nice. 7.
Wow, that's
Okay.
a lot.
That's good damage. So he suddenly is not looking that great. Okay, and he's gonna stroll on through. He's not gonna quite be able to make it to Darcy, but he's gonna stroll up and he's gonna say, "Reg, what the fuck is going on?" He immediately is like he's like his ears are ringing. He's got like he's kind of on fire. His cloak is on fire. And he's gonna look back and he's like, "Ah, Rusty, you get over here!" And you see kind of 2 more dudes appear over here. They're like, "You got it, boss!" And now it is this guy's turn, and he's gonna kind of nimbly dodge around the bonfire and move to right here. And he's gonna take a shot at Darcy because he's pretty sure he's gonna pull out a crossbow. And actually, he's gonna throw a dagger at her. And whew, all right, you see this guy fling a dagger at Darcy, and it comes and it finds purchase right in her shoulder. And she's gonna, oh goddamn, she takes 7 damage. And Darcy doesn't like that. She kind of grunts in pain. And now it is Bud's turn. Bud, what are you doing?
Bud casts Firebolt, the closest guy.
Okay, this guy.
Yes.
Okay, this guy right here that you just pinged is the one that's sort of rolling on the ground laughing right now.
Okay.
Actually,
Oh, is he still?
Yeah,
Or
he's still laughing. He hasn't.
Okay.
He's gonna go ahead and get a 0 initiative because he has no initiative.
Okay,
He rolled a 1 on his like saving throw for that.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to attack him then. Okay, I figured he was. Hey, I thought he already saved. Okay,
So this guy looks like he's like in really bad shape.
Right.
He's the one that threw a dagger at Darcy. This guy looks like he's doing okay, and like maybe he's the leader.
Okay.
And he's sort of a more brutish looking dude.
Green cape then.
Okay.
23.
That is a hit.
Nice. 5 damage.
All right. He kind of grunts. He's like, "Ugh!" He's like not looking great. He's got a smoldering sort of singe where that firebolt's hit him, and he's kind of his cape's still sort of aflame from where he stood in the bonfire. He looks a little rattled from Darcy's shatter, and but he's still kicking.
Okay.
And now he's going to kind of nimbly dodge around here, and he's going to go and not in range of Darcy. Roll initiative for these fools. We'll just say they were at 0. And now we are at the bottom of the initiative. So go ahead, Aldrich, roll a perception check.
Okay.
All right. You notice a note float into the bar, and it's kind of floating towards you, and it like unravels right in front of you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna read it.
And it just it's like Darcy's handwriting that you've seen before. I think you guys have probably maybe like meditated on spells or something together, and you've shared your sort of knowledge, so you know what her notes look like. And it just says, "Aldrich, Bud and I are in trouble, north side of town. Come help quickly."
Okay, where's Gun at this point?
Gin is
Gin's fucking on a.
Gin's still dancing. He's like forearm clasped with like 2 people, and they're jumping around.
Okay, I'm gonna try to get Gen's attention and be like, "Hey, Darcy and Bud need our help. We gotta go."
Gin like breaks away from everybody, and he points at you like smirking. How like, "Yeah!"
It's like, "Yeah, let's go." I don't know how Aldrich is feeling at that point. I don't know how much time has passed, and
if you say
plus,
so,
but you do know that can instantly go away. Also, when you say that, roll a d20.
Okay.
As you're saying that, Aldrich, you belch, and a large plume of fire comes out, and those in front of you are going to take 1d4 damage. It's only 1 damage.
So, Aldrich, what did you say specifically?
Yeah, point that thing if you drink that.
Aldrich, what did you say specifically? You said Darcy and
Bud are in trouble. We need to go help.
Okay. Gin would cartwheel out the door. He would do a somersault into a car wheel out the door.
Okay.
Am I still
Go ahead.
hovering at this point?
You are. Ooh,
Oh yeah,
Jin falls.
that's a critical
threshold.
one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing my best. Is there like a broom, like somewhere where I could like borrow it to kind of push myself around?
Gin starts crawling towards the door. He's on his hands and knees.
Just like
Yeah,
ask the nearest person, be like, hey, I'm gonna borrow this.
You can
I'll be
roll.
right
You can
back.
roll a dexterity check, Aldrich, if you. You can kind of control yourself, but you just have to roll a dexterity check.
Okay, sure. All right, well, I'm gonna try to get out the door and head over there. Oh shit.
Okay, you get out easily.
Nice.
You're still floating.
Nice.
And again, you're gonna leave the bar now too.
Yeah, I like tried to do the flip. I fell, and then I'm gonna start like crawling on the ground towards the door. Like I'm trying to get out now because of what Aldrich said.
Okay. All right, so you guys make it out of the bar, and I'll say you kind of you're now able to get sort of like at a dead sprint, at a dead float for Aldrich with a 20. You're doing fine.
Well, as
Like,
soon as we
kinda
got
halfway
out the
through
door and I was close enough to Aldrich, I would grab him because I enjoyed it the last time, and I would throw him in the direction of the north side or whatever he told me to do.
it. Okay, Aldrich, you roll a strength check again.
Okay. Oh, that's a saving throw. It doesn't matter either way. It's -1.
Yeah. So Aldrich is doing kind of fine on his own. You sort of give him a little boost, and it doesn't really do much because you're a little inebriated right now. You're very inebriated right now, so it's kind of hard.
Yep.
And I will say, like, Aldrich gets like a little over halfway to us right now, sort of gliding through the air, and again you get kind of halfway. You're sort of slipping and falling.
Okay.
And now it's this mysterious stranger's turn. Okay, and so this like mysterious stranger guy that showed up he's gonna take a look at the situation, and he's gonna look at this guy right in front of him that's lying down, and he's just gonna go ahead and he looks at him like very cryptically. Darcy and Bud can roll perception on that. Darcy doesn't notice anything strange about it. But you notice that like he's like somehow timed his movements perfectly with this guy. He has, even though he's prone and he would have had advantage anyway, he seems to like have gained the like upper hand on like he knows exactly like where to strike this flailing human. And he hits him. So he's going to take, oh my gosh, that's devastating. Okay, so as you guys are watching, this guy, he pulls a rapier out and he sort of times it, and he just as the guy's flailing, moves his arm out of the way of his neck, and the guy just sticks him right in the throat with a rapier, and the dude stops moving.
Real shit.
And he's gonzo. And now it's Darcy's turn, and Darcy is going to cast Scorching Ray at 2 at the guy in the cape and 1 at the guy she hurt. And she hits the guy she hurt. 1, misses the other, and hits the other. Okay, so you see 1 ray. Darcy kind of like charges 2 rays, and she fires 1 at this rogue that she's already hit with shatter pretty hard. And as you see this blinding light shoot out of her hand, and as the light fades, Bud, there's not a person in there anymore. At least not the top of one. He has been disintegrated, and he is dead.
Okay.
And this guy is going to take a decent amount of damage. He's starting to look pretty rough. He's now like he's got a pretty big scorch wound in his torso right now. And now it's his turn. And Darcy's actually going to Darcy's going to stay right there. And this guy's going to step up and he's like, "What the fuck is going on with you people?" And he's going to step up and he's going to pull out a huge sword and take a swing at this guy. And you see this guy take a swing, and you just hear a whooshing sound as it misses and clangs upon the stone as this guy is dodged out of the way in a pretty like artful manner. It sort of seems like this guy's a pretty adept duelist. And now it is. That's the guy that's dead. Guy is going to move now a little closer to here. Yep, he's going to throw a dagger at Darcy. Going to hit. And Darcy's going to take 5 damage. And at this point, I'm going to wait. I'm going to do half a round now. You guys can now roll athletics checks to see, or actually, Bud, roll a dexterity check since you're floating. Aldrich, and again roll an athletics check.
If I'm cartwheeling there, can I turn this into an acrobatics?
You can.
Fuck yeah. Yes! Yes!
You cartwheel all the way to the beginning of the alley. It's ridiculous. And Aldrich, you're fine too. You make it to the beginning of the alley and you kind of see what's going on. And I will throw you guys in, and you will be in the next round.
Okay.
Gin is immediately drawn to these boxes over here. He wants to get on the roof, knowing he's still in control of ridiculous acrobatic ability that he's never had before.
Aldrich, what did you roll for
15?
Initiative?
Oh.
15?
6.
I rolled a 16.
Sorry.
Yeah, you rolled a 16. Okay. You guys are here. And Darcy looks back. She's like, "Oh, thank God you guys are here." And she's like, "You guys took the salve before you left, right? You're sober?"
Gin is gonna point with both hands and be like, "What is up?"
Darcy's gonna fucking hit her head forehead. Like, fuck. Okay. Well, I'm glad you guys made it and got my message at least. And it is now. Whose turn is it? It is. Oh yeah, it's the other guy's turn that didn't go. So he's gonna kind of skip over the bonfire and make it to here. Yeah. He's gonna throw a dagger at this guy. You're the Spirit's benefactor, and that's going to hit. And he's going to take 7 damage. The dagger kind of nicks his arm. He doesn't look like he's in really bad shape at all. And now it's Bud's turn.
What is it? This is 2 wide. Void cast flaming sphere.
Okay. Right next to it? Okay, on the bad guy?
Yeah, right in front of him.
Alright.
It's gonna look just like the bonfire.
That causes your bonfire to dissipate, right?
Yeah, most likely. Oh, come on.
John, is that how that works? I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're both concentration.
Okay. Alright. So yeah, the bonfire disappears.
Yeah.
Not that it matters. Nobody's near it.
Okay, I put it in front of him.
Alright, the Roomba's in play.
I ram him.
Okay. And
So
the
he
dexterity
needs to-
check, right?
Yeah, 13 dex.
Oh, and he rolls a 13.
Nice.
Just makes
so
it.
he takes half. Ooh!
Oh,
Damn.
good damage. This guy's looking really rough now.
No, he has a flaming ball of fire just following him around. That would get me the fuck out of there, no matter who I was.
Yeah, he's not feeling great. This guy's gonna walk up, see his boss is on fire, and try to hit this other dude that just killed his friend, and he's gonna swing with a dagger in an upward stroking motion. The guy is actually no, he's gonna move right here, so he has advantage. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, so he swings his dagger in an upward swinging motion and tries to catch him kind of in the back, but the guy looks like he was ready for it. He aptly sort of raises his arm and dodges out of the way, and he's now facing that guy. And this guy is now gonna move up, and he's gonna throw a dagger at Darcy. A hit, and Darcy's gonna take another 5 damage. Darcy's looking kind of rough. Wait a minute. This got fucked up. All right, we're back at the top of the initiative, so it should be Gen's turn. All right, Gen, it's your turn.
Okay. Yeah, Gen is going to move 30 feet forward, and he's going to be standing next to Bud. So he's going to run forward and he's going to nudge Bud. And he's be like, "Give me the lowdown. What the hell's going on? Who are these people?" Maybe slowing his speech a little bit.
Bud says, "I don't know, we're killing them." They attacked a girl.
Okay, Bud, again, understanding this is a combat situation fully, I guess he sees some bodies or unconscious people on the ground. He would look kind of focusing on being sober and trying to focus on the moment for a second. He would say, "Doesn't have to be that way." And then I'm gonna cast Hex. Can I tell this guy is clearly the leader, the green cloak guy, or would I have to roll something for that?
You can tell by his big green cloak.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's can I tell that easily?
Roll perception
Okay.
with disadvantage because you're wasted.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Well, you don't really know what this guy is. He looks pretty bad off, and that there's some guys charging in a battle after him.
Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do bonus action Hex first. I'm gonna cast Hex on the green cloak, and then I'm gonna cast Charm Person 2nd level on both of these people within 30 feet. This guy is gonna get. I'm trying to dissuade them. I don't want to have to kill them, and this guy is gonna get advantage on it because we're clearly in combat. But the Hex I'm gonna say is Wisdom saving throw, so it cancels out.
So that negates it.
So he's gonna do a straight up check.
Some interesting Gen play. I like that. Okay. All right. So the first one, he's gonna get advantage. He rolls. Oh, he fails. This guy. He looks at me and he's like, "You're my kind of dark elf." I'm gonna do whatever you say.
What I'm doing is I'm doing a double point at both of them, And I'm like saying almost under my breath, I'm like, y'all are better than this.
Okay, and then the other guy, what was your DC?
My DC's 13.
Okay, yeah, he saves. So he looks at you and he feels you in his mind. He's like, get the fuck out of my head. And this guy's gonna look, he's like, hey, boss. He's like, doesn't seem so bad. Can I, like, give him all the things we have? And,
So he's still hexed. I have concentration on him right now.
Okay. All right.
And I would
He is
say to
hexed.
everyone, as like before I end my turn, be like, hey, don't attack the one that's saying nice stuff.
Okay. And by the way, I need to retcon this. Sorry, but all of these guys are wearing those like varying emotion theater masks.
Okay.
It's all just like varying, like happy, sad, laughing, angry. The leader has an angry mask on, and the rest of them are kind of just like roguish looking dudes that have like varying emotions on their faces. And it's this guy's turn. He's gonna look at you, and he's gonna look at the caped man that's the leader, and it's like types like you have no place in this city. And he's gonna take a swing at him, and he's also evaluating him in the same way that Bud saw earlier. And everybody can roll perception. Yeah, so again in Darcy, you kind of notice that he's sort of read this guy's movements. He's like in lockstep with him, and he is going to attack. That is that just barely hits, and he is now going to take. Okay. All right, I'm not even going to roll the sneak attack damage. You see this guy, and he's like, he looks at this guy, and he moves, and he's like a blur of motion. He's so quick, and he's perfectly infiltrated this guy's defenses. And before you know it, like it's like instantaneous transmission. Like he was standing in front of him saying this, and then it's almost as if as he was finishing a sentence, he is standing with his rapier through this ruffian's heart, and he shoves him off, and the leader is dead.
Who is this guy?
And you can't see his face yet. He's doing all this fucking crazy shit with a whale mask on, and it's a full whale mask. You can't even see his hair because it's like encompassing. It's like a little like crudely made whale is sitting on his head. Now it is Darcy's turn, and so Darcy's gonna hear what Gen said, and this guy's charmed. And so if he's charmed, does that mean Darcy does not have disadvantage on ranged spell attacks?
I would say yes, because you're no longer being threatened by anything in your 5-foot radius. Yeah.
Okay. I think Darcy's going to be encouraged by this, like, Max Denison's heroics, and she is going to cast Cause Fear at second level, and she's going to target this guy, and they're going to make it. They just watched their boss die, so they're going to make this with disadvantage. And they both fail, and you see these guys just fucking turn and run. They're like, fuck you, skunk, you fucking traitorous coward. Like, oh god, they killed boss. And so they turn tail, they immediately dash the fuck away. Because they're fucking scared because their boss was just murdered. And we can drop out of combat now.
Nice.
Okay. Gin would approach both the ruffian that he knows is charmed by him and the Super Saiyan.
So how do I want to resolve this? Okay. Who are you gonna? So
I'm gonna walk towards the charmed guy first and kind of like motion to him and be like, "I'll deal with you in a moment, buddy," and kind of just like smile at him, knowing he's charmed but like not wanting to push it. And then
he's like, "Hey man, you're my best friend. Like, I'll just go stand over here while you do your thing, you know."
I'm gonna reach out for like a light fist bump.
Yeah, and he fist bumps you back. He's like, "You're the best, man." And he kind of like, "You want to?" Like maybe grab dinner later, or maybe just make out or something.
Whenever the fist bump happened, like Gin, the screen would go black behind Gin, and he'd be like, "I've confirmed it," knowing he's charmed fully. And then I would approach the whale man that I just saw wrecking shit.
Yes. Yeah, so the whale man is going to take his mask off, and he's going to turn to you guys, and he's immediately going to rush over to this woman, and he takes his mask off, and he's kind of helping her up, but he's looking at you guys. He's like he's sort of just like doting her. He's like, "Hey, I hope you're okay, man." And he turns around and he pulls his mask off, and he looks like this. So he looks like this, and he sheathes his rapier, and he looks at everybody. He looks at like sort of between everybody. Sees all
That's
the
whale mask guy?
Yeah, he's taking his whale mask off, and that's what he looks like.
Okay.
And he looks at you guys, and he says, "My friends, I can tell you're not from around here. it's sad to say, but it's rare to see such a show of selfless kindness in the city. My name is Argyros, and if I may be so bold, I'd like to invite you to an art show at my home tonight. I'd love to have such kind folks as yourselves as guests of honor at my art show. I know you're probably not familiar with the city, but I can direct you there. And actually, you can arrive an hour early, and I'll give you a quick. And he sort of trails off.
Gin at this point, his mask would be up, his face would have like an exclamation on it, and he'd be pointing one hand and be like, "Bro," and he would immediately be like at a loss for words. He would just go in for like a hug drunkenly.
Yeah, Argyros would be. He's kind of taken aback and sort of gives you a back pat. But as he was trailing off, you realize it was because it was while he was helping this woman pick up the canvas she was carrying, and the cloth slips off the canvas, and he's like kind of gawking at it, and he sort of like returns your pat and turns back to the painting, and he's kind of scanning all over, looking all over it. He says, my goodness, this is your work? As he turns to the woman, this is quite the piece. And he nods his head, he's analyzing the entire thing, and he says, your use of chiaroscuro shading frames the centerpiece of this image excellently. It makes the market square a regular spectacular location, certainly in the middle of the masquerade, seem unimportant to the everyday plight of the lower class. It's as if you've taken the grandiose qualities of Sublime, and he kind of is going on, mouthing all these art terms. You've highlighted the mundane drudgery of everyday work and applied these grandiose topics to it. He's like, I can feel the struggle. And he looks, he's like, perhaps your struggle. He's like, pray tell, are you showing this anywhere? And the woman is just like gaping at him. Like after he's like said who he is, she obviously recognizes his name, and she says sheepishly, kind of, well, I was going to show it at the Paulway in hopes of getting noticed by a patron. I've been trying to get it in art school unsuccessfully. Unfortunately, it's been difficult to get noticed. And she's kind of like starts sort of mumbling and babbling at this point and rambling. And she's like, he kind of puts her hand on his shoulder in a gentle way, and he's like, "Consider your patron found, my dear. I'd love to show your work at my show tonight." Says, "Perhaps you could arrive when I've asked my friends here to come, and we could provide you a spot, maybe in my realism." And she like immediately is like beaming, and she's clasped her hands together, and she's like, I don't know what to say. That sounds amazing. I'd love to. And she's like, She's just kind of stammering. She's like, I need to go home and get dressed. I'll absolutely be there. And she's like, he's like, wait. Let me get your name, and I'll be sure to give it to the guard so he knows to let you in early. And she's like, sorry, my name is Elaine. And he's like, excellent, Elaine. I look forward to showing your work, and I look forward to what my colleagues have to say about it. And with that, she kind of scurries off. She's like, oh my gosh, I have to go put on a nicer dress. And he at this point, he's going to turn back to you, and he's sort of smiling and looks a little relieved. He's like, again, my friends, I can't tell you how appreciative I am that you stepped in to save this woman, especially now that I've seen her art. It would have been a terrible loss to the city had this artwork been stolen or maimed or she even killed. So again, I apologize for getting so distracted there. I sometimes get distracted when it comes to art, and the collectors of the city often don't pay enough attention to the works of what they deem to be the lower class citizens. So I spend my time in the masquerade setting up scholarship competitions for the often overlooked commoners. At any rate, I know I was a little abrupt earlier, but I do hope you'll join me at my home tonight. Like I said, you'd be my guest of honor, and I'd be happy to discuss any of the works that pique your interest personally. I think you'll find that my collection is very extensive, and so I hope you'll enjoy your time there. If you could just give me your names, I'll be sure to let the guards in. To let my guards know to let you in an hour early. It's open to the public, so if you decide you want to come a little later, that's okay. But my home is in the heart of the city. There's a large statue of the Platinum Dragon in front of it. It's somewhat hard to miss. There's a big spire sticking out of the top. And at this point, he kind of looks at you expectantly.
Gin, kind of like understanding now, like it was more of an instinctive reaction before, now kind of understanding like the presence of who he's interacting with and kind of wanting to put on the right air. He would kind of like compose himself and like brush his like coat off, and he's like still drunkenly. He'd be like, these are my companions, Darcy, Bud, Aldrich, and I am Gin. And he would extend his hand.
At this point, he shakes your hand, and at this point, Darcy kind of pops in, and she's like, sorry, our friends are a little rowdy at the moment. been having some fun at I guess Death and Co. And he kind of clapped his hands together. He's like, "Oh, excellent! You've been sampling the wares of the bartenders at Death and Co. No wonder you are in such a jovial mood."
Yeah, Gin is like has the air of someone focusing desperately to try to not be drunk.
Yeah, and he looks at you, and I'm not going to make you roll perception, but he very clearly knows that.
Yeah.
You get the sense that maybe this guy has a pretty keen eye.
Yeah. Well, Gin just saw him in combat, and that's just as much on his mind as anything else. But
yeah, so Darcy he would say, "Well, I'm glad you guys are enjoying the masquerade so far, and I will say that that is an excellent place to start if you're looking to kick things off. Like I said, my party tonight is at 7. You said your name was Gen. Darcy, was it? Bud and Aldrich, and are you guys still kind of hanging back, Aldrich and Bud?"
No, I think while y'all were talking, we were like approaching.
Yep.
Okay. And so at that point, he would say, "Well, excellent. I do hope you all will join me tonight. Again, just give your names to the guards. I'll be sure he knows to let you in. And one thing I would ask of you, if you don't mind, if you would not mention my part in this little scuffle, or sort of what you saw me do, I would very much appreciate that. I try to keep my I guess abilities on the DL, as they say." And Darcy kind of nods. She's like, "Yeah, no problem."
Gin would kind of interrupt him and be like, "Yeah, your reputation precedes you. We actually know who you are. People were talking about you, and you seem a rather prominent figure in the city. And from what I've heard and what you've told us, I greatly respect what you're doing." And he's like pausing in between what he's saying because he's drunk.
He puts a hand on your shoulder, and he kind of steps up to you. He puts a hand on your shoulder. He's like, "Well, I'm glad they're not saying anything bad about me, and I appreciate your praise. I'm looking forward to getting to know you guys a little better. Again, it appears to me you're quite the eclectic band. I've seen a few of you in combat. You're quite the talented casters, it would seem." He especially like eyes Darcy and Gan over. As if he's sort of, even though Darcy didn't use any necromancy spells, he kind of notices, and but it's not in like a disapproving way.
Okay. Kind of like disarmed. Gin is like, he has his hand on his shoulder, and Gin's like puts his hand on his shoulder as well. He's got his eyes are kind of closed, his head's cocked, and he's like, "So," he's like thinking about it. He's like, "You're this great art collector," and then he opens his eyes. "But you can also do that." And he's like kind of pointing at the bodies behind him.
Arguus kind of stops him and he chuckles. He's like, "Yes, my story is rather interesting, I will say. However, I do have to get back to my home to continue preparing for my show tonight. I was actually in the middle of carrying a piece I had just purchased to mount in one of my surrealism sections. But again, I'd be happy to have a candid conversation with you, as believe it or not, I've actually heard of some of your exploits, Mr. Gan. You're somewhat of a detective yourself, aren't you?"
Gin like puts a hand on his chest. He's like, "Oh." He's like,
and and he said, Arguus says, "Like I said, I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys tonight. Some of the art collectors in the city can be kind of unpleasant, so I'll be looking to you as an escape. And as I said earlier, please arrive an hour before everybody else, and I'll give you a private tour." And with that, he kind of flourishes and sort of walks back down the hall the way he came. He dons this like very crude whale mask, which some of you would be thinking like, why is this like ultra wealthy dude wearing this like weird paper mache whale mask that like looks like a piece of shit?
Yeah. As he's walking away, Gin is definitely doing the J.R. Smith face whenever he's on the bench and he doesn't understand. He's like,
Yep. So with that, I will say it's now like the art show is at 2 p.m. and there's a decent amount of stuff that is still going on in the city that you guys can continue to explore. I will say, again, you immediately start tasting the blood and sand again. It's permeating every part of your mouth.
Does it taste good?
And all of a sudden, no, it's a very unpleasant, and immediately you retch everywhere. Like you vomit a shit.
Is Arteron still in earshot?
No, he's walked away. But you were throwing up a lot. And Darcy's like, "You guys didn't take the salve, did you?" And you intuit that maybe the side effects of your charismatic presence while inebriated was that you were going to retch at the end of it.
Gin, as he's like on his knees retching, he like in between, he would like point up at Darcy and be like, "You should have fucking seen the cartwheel on the way out." That was
Like-
worth the price of admission alone.
She she looks at you and she just kind of smiles and shakes her head. She's like, man, I was tripping balls in that bar. Hey, Gen, just an FYI, we still have like a human puppet that you made that we should probably deal with.
Gin hasn't forgotten about that. He would turn, looking over his shoulder, and be like, "Yes, come. What's your name?"
Well, you can call my name is Reginald, but you can call me Skunk. That's what everybody else calls me.
Yes, Skunk. I'm sure you are a fine fellow with a good childhood, and I would like kind of get up from if I'm finished stretching, be like, what were you doing with your band? And I kind of like motion to like the dead bodies that are there. There's 3 of them that are dead right there.
Yep.
Okay.
He's like, well, the boss said that the big man told him that we were supposed to go out and, do mischief in the city. He hired a bunch of us, and we were supposed to walk around. We weren't expecting you guys, you big, strong heroes, to come in. Oh, man, I'm glad you did, because I'm so glad to meet you.
A thief. And a thief? That's what you were? It's a noble profession in its own right, but you're a thief, right?
The woman is not there anymore, that's all I was saying.
Okay.
But yeah, he says like, oh yeah, yeah, man, like, I guess a thief, and I think maybe my buddy Reg, holy shit, Reg is just fucking bleeding dead right there.
Don't worry about Reg. Reg is in a better place.
Points at Reg, like, yeah, you're probably right, man, you wouldn't lie to me. And he says, yeah, I think he was probably gonna hurt that woman, if I was being honest.
You said big man. Who's that? Your employer, I assume.
Oh, well, I worked for the big kind of orcish looking dude right here, and I guess he reported to one of the big, I never saw him, but I'm pretty sure he's one of the wealthy collectors of the city, and he's got some kind of weird plan for the masquerade. I don't know, man, I'm just a grunt.
No, you don't know his name. Do you know what he looks like? Do you know anything else about him? This big man, your employer.
I never seen the guy, man.
I would telepathically say to
maybe-
Bud and Aldridge, maybe just to Bud, be like, hey, start searching their bodies. Mainly the captain, telepathically. And then I'd continue speaking to this guy.
Yep, I'm picking the captain's pocket.
Okay, make an investigation check.
Yeah.
So on his body, you find 30 gold.
Nice.
You take a look at his boots, and you realize they're kind of nice.
Special boot.
And we can resolve that later, because I do have to go soon. But you, most importantly, to the conversation at hand, find a note. And it's on a very fine piece of parchment. What it reads is, Jerkins, you're to go out and ambush any of the commoners in the back alley, steal whatever they have. If there's anything worth finding, bring it back to the warehouse. After that, report back. We've got big plans for the night. And then it just says -M.
M?
Yeah.
I would ask you, Bud, telepathically what you just found. And I guess if you told me that, then I would change my line of questioning.
You might as well ask Root.
But I would ask this guy, the warehouse. M. What does M stand for? Where's the warehouse? What role were you to play, my good skunk? And I'd like slap him on like the chest. Be like, what role were you to play in this grand plan your boy had?
I don't know, man. Look, I didn't tell much. My Jerkins was just a kind of the leader of a sort of rogue band. We're kind of we do some crimes around the city pretty often, I guess you could call it. But Jerkins had mentioned that he'd gotten contacted by some pretty powerful people, and that we had a good job and that it was going to pay well. But he didn't really tell. He said he couldn't really talk about his employer. Even when we asked him, he told us to shut up. So we knew not to. Jerkins is a lot stronger than all of us. We tried not to interrogate him too much, if you get my drift.
Okay, at this point, Gin, knowing this is gonna last for like another last for an hour in total, and it's probably been like 10 minutes or something, so there's still a lot of time. I would wrap my arm around like his like shoulders, and I would start like walking like down the alley the way we came with him. Be like, Skunk, here's what I want you to do. Okay, we've known each other a long time. We've been friends for a while now, right? Isn't that right, Skunk?
Yeah, man, you're like my best friend in the world. Like,
yeah.
I'd do anything for
Yeah.
you.
I've got some advice for you, Skunk. And I like put my index finger on his chest. I'm like, you need to switch it up, my guy. The crimes, the murdering, the thieving, That's all boo-boo. Here's what you're going to do. And I point to the library, and I'm like, I want you to walk into the library and talk with my girl, Alondra. And I want you to ask her where to find the instructional how to draw, how to create art books. And I want you to go in the library for the next 24 hours or however long you can manage it. And I want you to learn how to draw. And I want you to start contributing what only you have in your heart to this world and Triple Nester. That's what I want you to do, Skunk. Can you do that for me? And I'm like, I have my hand on like his shoulder, and I'm kind of like, just, yeah.
Make a persuasion check with advantage. Yep. He looks at you, he's like, Gen, I feel like you're the only honest man in this town. And he kind of looks at the rest of you, he's like, you guys too, I guess. And he's like, I'm gonna go to the library, I'm gonna talk to Alandra, and I'm gonna get me a drawing book. I'm gonna get real good at drawing.
Yep.
And he starts walking that way.
I let him go. I like release him, and I put my hands up, and I turn around to y'all, and I'm like, that's how you do it, guys. And I'm still drunk. I retch a little bit.
You don't feel as charismatic anymore after you retched, but your roll was good enough that it didn't matter. Okay, I think this is probably a good stopping point. I've got it's like 2 o'clock right now, and you have 5 hours to kind of hang out and do stuff in the city before 4 hours before Argyros' art show. He asked you to be there an hour early.
Okay. Yeah. Gin definitely wants to check more festivities, but he also wants to find this warehouse.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Sweet.
Well, we will revert back to the city after that for next session. That was not how I expected that to go at all, but it was horrible.
Sorry to take things off the rails.
No, that was fucking
I mean,
great,
that was
dude.
part of the rails,
like-
but it.
I was like, how the fuck am I gonna do this? Bud's alone, and there's like 20 guys.
Hilarious.
No, that went amazing. I thought it was great.
I did not expect to encounter Argyros at all.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you encountered him, and Bud just happened to go to the place where he was.
Wow.
That was This is like the encounter where you're supposed to meet Argyros. Like that's all scripted.
Sweet. All right.
So it went really well, though. All right, cool. Well, we can continue exploring the festival, and then we'll move on to Mr. Argyros' art show.
By the way, I remember and write everything down. So Skunk is forever in Gin's mind. By the way, he's never ever gonna go away. So I know I'll never bring him up when I'm DMing. It'll only be when other people will. Skunk is now a contact for Gin that is in my notes. So.
All right, cool. Well, I will see you guys later.